I'm so sorry. Did you find any of that ball game last night?
You know, I got to watch about 10 minutes of it because it was some kind of promotional thing. And then it said to sign into your, TV provider or whatever. I did, and it cut it off. But my husband was sitting home watching it on my TV. So it was annoying.
What did he not
They're all getting their coffee.
Oh, yeah. That's most important.
Yeah, he put it on speakerphone.
Or not?
I listened to it on the radio on the way home. I got the last 2 minutes by video.
So you drove all the way to Jefferson City last night?
Oh, yeah, it's not that far.
No, it's not. I just,
Right, okay.
of course, I have family here, so.
Yeah, you might as well stay, but yes, I did. Probably takes me less time to drive back and forth than it would have to even think about what to bring to stay overnight.
Well, and you're in your own bed and you're gonna sleep better.
Yes. My cat likes it better now. My husband does, my cat.
Yeah, my husband said, we have a little pug and he was cooking supper while he was, and he had me on speaker. And Pepper Pug was just running to the basement door, to the back door.
Looking for you, huh?
Looking. Where's Mom?
Yes, that's what my husband said. My dog was, he said every noise she heard, she was running to the garage door.
Yes.
Where's Mama?
Oh, you're headed. What is it you can call
I said, well, that's nice, but has my son mentioned my name at all?
Well, no.
He said, oh, yeah, he misses you. I'm like, yeah, you have.
How old is your son?
14, so he's getting there where he's just like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, he's an independent man
Yeah.
in his mind.
He's just, yeah, I know you'll be back tomorrow. Ain't a big deal.
You can sit.
Spots lots of people like, I don't know, I need I believe Valentine's Day shopping. What? You shopped?
Yeah, I'd rather be held than not.
Yeah, it's a little warm.
Chairs are coming over here.
Nobody's here, right?
You were.
I mean, I'm gonna go to.
Oh, is it goes, there is a control, because this one was.
I got it higher, but.
Yeah, there's another control over here, but by all means, you've already traded, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We need that immediately, and then we do first conversion of rewards to all of them together. Yeah.
Financials first.
What should be, y'all.
Where are we going? How did you get there?
Okay, so we're probably tomorrow. We're going together occasionally.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Miss Angela. Or do we even? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, that's just.
It's true.
There we go. You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, I just like oldies. It's, yeah. It's just like- And I don't want to see this.
Good morning, ladies.
Good
morning. Most everybody's in here. I think Lori's not here yet, but she's coming on in. We want to go ahead and get started because Lori is with us and she's got another meeting at 10 o'clock. So she can't stay with us long. Thank you all for coming back. Thank you for yesterday. I know it was a lot to take in. I got you all a little Valentine's gift. That's for me, just to say thank you. VG's Bakery, which Julie works there. Julie brought those in this morning, fresh made last night for you guys. So.
Did you make them? All right.
Yeah, she's benefits of being there.
Yeah.
We're going to look at financials today and what you all work in and what we're, again, this is discussion, you know, like our phone calls that we had that we're talking about the forms and the fields and what we can create that will hopefully make it a little easier for you guys. Again, ask questions. Ask the questions now while Ben is here about making something, about creating something. This is totally different than V5. You have to forget what you couldn't do over there or what you tried to do over there or how we done it over there because this is totally different. So please ask the questions while he's here. So we'll know what we're doing when he's not here. And I have to call him every day to help us get something done. So that's kind of what this is. Because I'm not exactly sure what all you all do. I do know, but I don't know. So that's what this is to work through the setup with him. So I think he's got the link up where you can log in and we can go with this.
Good morning. Somebody down the hall had wild parties last night, all night, kept me awake, so I don't know, not being good today, but,
Sorry, Ben. I tried to tell him to keep it down.
It really was the heartburn chicken chili.
All right, well, let's start off with a couple of general statements before we to make sure we all kind of get a feel of what's going on. The financials is a different URL than Arena, although you'll see that it will be basically the same URL, just the word financials after it. So whatever your holstonconference.myshelby.org/financials or holstonconference/.myshelby.org for Arena. So whatever your Arena URL is, you just put another financials after that, but it will be two different websites, and they'll look different. Your logins should be the same for both sites. And it's on the same database. So you'll be able to use the same names back and forth. So you're not having to enter information one over here and one over here. You still will be able to pull both names, pull names from both systems. Okay? Now, the next thing is, let me just give you a little bit of update of the Shelby has kind of, we had V5 and it was all the headquarter modules and everything were working well. And then we started into the new Arena Shelby Next Financials. And they did not, well, just to be blunt, they did not have a real good plan. So they started down this path, and then they started down this path, and then they started down this path. And so right now, again, it's optimistic to me that we are actually in 2 weeks going to have a big, let's get all the heads together and let's come up with a plan meeting in 2 weeks. So that, to me, is encouraging because we can finally, in my mind, I'm going, where are we going with this? Where is it all going to end? And as a trainer and as a person that gets to tell you where it's going to end up, I would like to know myself so that I can give you the right information. So let's talk about some of the things. Right now, remittance is both in Arena and the financial. So pretty much the Arena remittance you will not use. So if you happen to see that, I'm sure that when they get to security, they'll completely make it where you can't see it, but remittance will be over here in the financials. Okay. Currently, the appointment structure, like I said yesterday, is an Arena. So knowing where someone was, how long they were there, what their position was, that's an Arena. But over in the financials, we need to know who the appointments are for the pension billing so that Ken knows who gets billed for how much of the pension, whether it's the church or the pastor. So there's going to be some of that over there as well that Ken's going to be using. So mainly what you guys are going to be using, I think, will be in the Arena appointment side. But Ken has to know that information so he can make sure he gets all the benefits correct. So I'm hoping they're going to find a way to bring that together so that whatever Arena is using also is used in the financials for that same purposes. So I'm going to definitely be pushing for that when we have this meeting in a couple of weeks. Fortunately, I've been invited to that meeting so I can share what I hear from you guys and the other Methodist conferences, primarily Methodist, because you're the ones that use we wrote most of the headquarters modules for Methodist conferences. The pension billing, the insurance retirement, the deposits on hand, the loan processing, all that was primarily written in the beginning for Methodist conferences. No, I don't know of any other headquarters organization that uses it as robustly as you guys do. So, and I have another reason, I've got another conference in Texas, and we're training next month, and then one in West Virginia in April. So the more we make these decisions and get this thing done, then makes my job easier because I get to look at a lot of wonderful faces of Methodist district superintendents and administrative assistants and benefits officers that I want to be able to give good answers to. All right, so before we start scratching this itch, I've already heard that you connived together yesterday over supper and meetings and have come up with a list of questions. So, what are your list of questions? Okay, very good. Moving on.
So I've been in this position a little over a year, so I have a question to ask real quick. And I know you all have different answers, but I'm curious about up here. So what do we use the financials for? Entering PSWs? And is it putting in statistics? Is that considered financials? So what is it we are going to know about financials that we do in the district offices? You have no idea? Do we use it for putting in PSWs?
No, that's under appointments.
That's under
Well,
appointments?
that's still for appointments.
Okay, and then statistics, we do a year-end reports, and that's got financial information in it.
Forms, yeah,
So
that's
is
in
that
arena,
going to
yeah.
be in financials here?
No, so
No, it's in the forms are in
Okay,
arena.
all right, so
so
I
we're
just
gonna
didn't
be,
know.
we're gonna be doing nothing in financial.
So I
Yeah.
guess we're not going to be doing anything in financials. I just try to get my head
All
straight.
right, let's make sure that, now that Angela's here, let's make sure we, so PSWs are gonna be through appointments in arena, correct?
That's what we're here to find out. I don't.
So PSW stands for what?
Passport work
It's
group.
a
Okay, so
it's
when
payroll
you-
information.
So-
Essentially.
Now, the reason I'm asking, I'm questioning that is when we were talking about mapping that form, the fields in that
Arena.
go to financially covered items, you know, in finance.
Like what you were talking about, Ken needing.
Right, so,
Confusion
so
information.
even if it is,
Yeah.
if it's done in arena, it's still gonna be behind the scenes, it's gonna put it where it needs to go over here in finance.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
The maintenance of clergy salaries and the information that's on the pastor support worksheet. If I'm not hearing everybody correctly, will be maintained in arena. And the billing for pension, which is the primary, product that comes out of it, will be developed in arena. That dollar amount somehow is going to be developed in arena. Is that correct?
it will be recorded there, yes.
But it'll go to where he needs it in his
Right.
insurance and billing. That's what we've been discussing about now.
But it doesn't affect the financial module until it's collected.
Until what, I'm sorry?
Until it's collected.
Until it's collected, okay.
Run tax basis.
You don't have anything to do with it.
Right, all this is
You just do
where it
everything
needs
pretty
to go.
much.
You put the information over there.
Yes,
That's
it's
it.
really late.
But it would go to your mom.
So you don't.
If they got a picture now on that pastor's worksheet, and they put it in that field, it's gonna go over where it needs to be, the insurance and billing.
Right now, it doesn't go
It
anywhere.
doesn't matter where it is now.
It doesn't go anywhere.
Right. So now, that's what we're trying to get to. To make sure all that information is right. Your information. Everything goes where it needs to go. So when you go to that rate, that information, that you need,
I don't know, we have nothing to do with
Some
it.
calculation.
Put in a housing allowance to,
You need that.
That's right.
So, okay, so this is another thing that we've got to determine as a company. Because right now you see, this is the entry screen for a person. And so this person is the pastor of First Baptist Church and I think see where church, whatever. And this is, okay, so in the Assembly of God, FBC Church pastor. So here's his name and here's his salary. Now, again, over there in pensions, and here's his ACH information. So in pensions, though, we need to know where they have housing and that kind of thing as well. So if we continue for this to be here, then we're going to have to add more fields to it.
Correct.
If it's not going to be here, then we're going to have a better interface and a better structure over in financials where you can enter it there. So this is where we are in a little bit of a not quite in sync, which hopefully will be covered and taken care of in 2 weeks. And our general manager will say, this is how it's going to be done. Now everybody work toward that instead of, okay, well, the person doing arena is going this way, the person doing financial this way. we need to join those two forces together. So right now, we're not completely in either session because this does not give us all the fields we need.
What is the field that ties them together?
It would be done by report. We'd have to do that.
No, I mean, if you're in the financial module and you're getting data from.
I know, it'd be done by report at this point. There's with this field here does not enter anywhere in financials.
Okay, but what ties, is it the name that ties them together, or is there a
Yeah.
record number in the back, or what?
Yeah,
What is it that
that's a
actually?
name counter. Mhm.
Okay.
So yes, this is the same record in both places.
So it's the name that's the key field, so they
Correct.
have to be
Well, they
spelled.
have an identifying
same.
number too. Everybody has a number. You might not see it, but there's identifiers in there.
Yeah, but
Link it
everything
all
has to be
together.
spelled correctly and the same. In other words, so if you're entering, you gotta have a protocol.
Well, yeah, well, the big thing is when you enter, you search first.
Yeah.
And so you look for this person, you don't just add them, you look for them to see if they exist
Well, right,
first.
that's what we do.
Then,
Yeah.
that's using the same record.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's what you do.
But, so that's the key.
But.
Yes, Billy.
So it's a process, not the system, but either way, the problem is still the same issue is you've got to search and make sure that person exists. And if there's two Maria Daniels, then you gotta make sure that two records, or is it one record that's duplicated? And then they need to merge those together. Because again, you can have pension information on one and employment information on the other one.
That's why I asked. I just wanted to know what the key field was.
So is this the appointment,
This is appointments within Arena. Let me show you so I went to
right,
appointments.
yeah.
And then I can see the structure. Now, my I don't have a lot in mine, but
Nice big tree.
let me see if that's better in the other one.
So they'll be actually working out of Arena then, not in the financial module?
Right, to assign the people to to their different appointing positions. Yeah.
But what's put in the appointments will also come up in financial.
Correct, because it's the same database.
So it might be March 7th.
Well, and that's it, they've been working on this for a while. We've been working on it. This is just to get all the little bits and pieces that you all need for input, so that we can get it set up where it's easily understandable how it works.
All right.
There's gonna be some terminology adjustment too,
Right.
because yesterday you were talking about appointments and
Tags.
what we would call officers and leaders, you were
Call it
getting that
appointments.
as an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And the
An
only thing.
appointment is only for clergy for us.
Right.
Right.
So that's
And
gonna,
those things will be
Yeah.
tweaked.
that's
They can
what
tweak that.
makes this really confusing. Because when you're
In what?
done something a certain way for so many years.
It's different. It's.
Yeah,
and it's odd.
So here you see this is the ATO1 site, and then you see here that you guys have been working in it some and playing in it. So go to Mountain Valley here, and then here's the different institutions. Like here be all the churches, and then you go to that church, and then you add a position or add more institutions underneath it. And this way you can put a group of pastors or a group of staff or again volunteers in here. Here's where you pick your group. And then once you pick that position, you can also have the custom fields in there. So I can add housing, I can add other items in there that puts in there. But again, we need to make sure we're only entering this information one time. So we need to make sure that this pulls up fields that are already over there in the pension side. And so that would be the easiest thing to do since we're all in one database. And then when I have that position, I come down here and put the appointee in.
So when we go to our officers and leaders sheet from charge conference, and we go to enter all of our officers and leaders for
Mhm.
every church, every position, we have to do that all individually. We can't do it under the church like we've done it in the past. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you'll still do it as under the church. So that's why you'll see here, go back one level, and this Miss Hub is a church. And then you come down here, you have all the positions down here, and you add one. And so then, yes, you'll add all the positions for that church all in the same place.
And all that stuff is gonna come over, like you say, once you get, okay. So now, but as far as you said, there's no dates in this one.
Oh, there is here, yes. There's no dates under the relationships.
Okay. There's dates under one.
So here's when I come in here to put that lead pastor in, I can put the dates.
Gotcha.
I have the dates here.
Oh, dates are important. Start in dates. That's important.
Right.
Start in dates.
Okay, so this is good for me to take back with me because this is all the information that you guys are entering that from.
Yeah,
right?
I emailed that to you previously.
Okay, and so then, I think it's already Kyle. And then this information is what Ken uses, so if, right now, they would enter part of it, and he'd have to enter part of it.
No, we
It'd be better if it's all entered in
We
one.
enter it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we enter it all.
Yeah, so,
There's
There's an Excel form. What we're trying to get to is away from the Excel form.
right,
You know, we're trying to get everything, they call it forms on here, it's like the pastor support worksheet. It would be a form, you know, that you would fill out, or the pastor would fill out, whoever's filling it out. And the pieces would go where they need to go.
got it. So they're filling this out.
Yes.
The individual pastor is filling this out, all the churches are filling this out.
Superintendent.
This
And
superintendent,
the church.
In their office, right?
In their church, at the
PR
charge
meeting.
conference.
Okay, back up. Is it the pastors at churches or the DSs that are entering this?
No, they're not entering it, they're filling it out. We do the entering.
Pastors start out.
Okay, so what you want is you want the churches fill this out and it go the right place so you guys don't have to fill it out.
Because it's required signatures.
No.
No, we do have to fill it out. We have to enter the information. The past, the DS and the
Why?
churches. set the
Why?
salary.
Why can't the pastors do it if they can, if it's going to be available to them?
Enter it in, their own salary?
Yeah,
That would be a conflict of.
because it has to be, that's a signed form that has to come in, you probably still have to have signatures on it.
Oh, yeah.
But what we're trying to do is get it put in one time and it goes where it needs to go.
Well,
Instead
can't you have an approval?
Well,
So that it's
also,
entered elsewhere and then
you can
it's
approve it at
approved?
your office, your DS.
Once it's filed?
We
It has to
also
be- it
have
has to be approved at
resuscitation
charge
and
conference
equitable
by their-
comp, which is
by
a
their
separate
officers.
part of their salary.
I'm sorry, I was.
With the resuscitation and the equitable comp, which is a separate part of that salary, I'm gonna tell you that the pastors don't understand that. And the SPRC chairs don't understand that. And they don't understand, you know, which is which, and you have to have that entered in a separate location on this situation.
Well, we don't know what this is going to look like.
Right, so,
That's what we're doing, is you're creating this.
right,
We're creating this.
I'm just saying, I think that'll be problematic.
Well, and who puts it in, you know, we can, you know, even, I've seen pastor support worksheets, and Ken can attest to this, that are signed off on and still not right, you know.
Oh, I know, I mean,
there's
I know
There's
that.
gonna be errors and
Yeah.
stuff, but this isn't, we're trying to figure out an easier way for you all to get this information and do this, and it go to where it needs to go.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of Ken having to wait till he gets a pastor support worksheet to see what he needs to do. It'll already be in the system. Right now, you know, do you put sustentation in?
Yes, it's on my
It's,
board.
but we put it in, we
Yes.
put it in,
Yes.
if there's only one field for resuscitation and equitable comp, so any salary support that comes from the conference
Check the box.
is the same, you know, we don't have that broken out into two different types of salary
See,
support.
for us in finance, equitable comp comes out of one line, and suspension comes out of another line, cooperative parish comes out of
Another line, right,
Right,
So,
Right.
see, that needs to be reflected on that form,
correct,
which one of those buckets that comes out of.
right, because for reporting purposes, like for me, when I do a report, I have to break those two things out.
yeah.
Because they're not, when I pay the pastor, when I send in that check for that payment, I'm paying out of three different things.
Right, they're different line items.
Right, so we're trying to reflect that in here, so again, everything will be where it needs to be, and we're not making special reports or.
We just need to split up, because right now it's employer support, and that includes that comp and.
All in one line.
So we need to split that.
Right.
There needs to be a separate
But
check box.
I guess what I'm saying
Check
is,
box,
when it comes to salary support, I know that the churches don't, I mean, I've had people, now that the forms are coming out in the church conference files, I've had people filling them in and sending them in, and they don't get salary support. And they're thinking, oh, well,
We can get it.
oh, we can do this, you know.
Well, and again, that's communication from your DS
Yeah.
to your churches on how the forms are. This is how we want to set the forms up to be able to make it easier.
And that's one out of three.
And what I'm hearing is we need to break that out into three boxes that you check when you're putting in their salary, right?
Yes.
So Ken, you have a question?
The concept of the information being developed at the local church level is ambitious, to say the least. The completed forms right now are monitored at the district level.
Correct.
There's a level of approvals that go through and the signatures are obtained at charge conference.
Correct.
So if the forms can be completed, approved at charge conference, and in some way in the system marked that they have been approved, then marked that they have been reviewed for accuracy, then we could interface the data into the database. It's not before.
Right, there's steps that it will go through. That's the step. It has to be approved before it comes over.
But at the district office, we do that automatically, we do
Right.
one set.
Yeah, but you all physically enter the data again into the file.
Right.
But we're not talking about five.
I'm just saying how we're doing it now. You've got a hard copy document that you enter that information again into the system.
Amy, because you filled out the form, and now we're filling out the database, is that what
You
you
get
do?
the form, and then you look at the form and you put that data into the system. If the form interfaces with the system, all you're gonna have to do, once it's approved, then transfer the data to the database, right out of the form, if that's possible.
So, currently,
Different levels of informed support, regardless of what the source is, if you've got user-defined features in there for this thing, the Angela can pull reports
yeah,
based on that information as well, separated by the source.
so once this is filled out and all the signatures are done, what does your office do with it?
Enter it in. Enter it in.
Enter it in where, or V5 and where? What module?
Just,
Appointments.
Appointments.
Okay.
And what she's talking about is online too there, where it says conference
Uh-huh.
headquarters. That's where there's.
That
gonna
needs
have
to be
there's
split
gonna
into
have to be
three.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna have to be split into three so that we know where that money's coming from.
So the conference knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that may just be check a box.
It doesn't have to necessarily be split out on the PSW. We just need to be able to split it out within the database. Needs to be split somewhere.
Well, yeah,
And
but we
that-
need to
and
split
that's-
out on the
there's
floor because
where
we
I'm
don't know
saying
where
that's
it's
the
coming
problem with having
Where
the
this
churches
comes from.
do it.
Well,
Well,
They
and
don't
we're trying to
understand.
get other communities
Yeah.
are
They
filled
don't,
out.
yeah, they don't understand
It's true.
where the money's coming from or what.
But we had it do it.
Well, you know, now down the road, and the churches are able to log in as tenants down the road, then we'll cross that bridge on what you all want them to fill out and what you don't want online.
Well,
I'll just be
and not
honest.
everything that's on the PSW is entered into the, database necessarily.
At the bottom, we gotta do stuff.
Well,
the stuff on the
and
bottom
that's
is
what
for
we're
the
trying to
church.
Well, I understand
streamline.
that, but I'm saying.
We're trying to streamline this,
Yeah.
so it's.
It might be helpful for them to see how we do things and what we do enter. And under the old system,
Well, they have all,
you know.
they have it,
Yeah, the end of year.
they know that.
Okay, let me ask you this.
This is me thinking forward.
Let me ask you this. Okay, you were talking about having that broke down into 3 lines. If you had that and it was marked on here, and we entered it on here that it was equal or resuscitation,
Well, fair.
or would you need those other forms filled out?
That's a Lori question.
That's why we're
Has to
raising
be- It has to be approved. There has to be a process for it to be approved.
Yeah,
but if you approve the PSW,
the.
And had the signature on there, would that be the approval?
That would
Well,
be your
that's-
approval
that's-
there.
That would be approval from the district superintendent, but not from the conference office.
Right, because they have to make sure it's in the budget. That's what I think.
You know, we
Yeah,
have
that's
to, we
right.
seek approval through Lori, so an office here has to approve whether or not it's receiving a
Right.
comp or
But again,
resuscitation.
if it's all in this way, Lori can go in and pull a report to look at it, where it's broke down,
Yeah.
to see the salary. Because from my end, when I do the resuscitation, equitable comp, I'm the one doing the payments for that.
Right.
It is so difficult, this spreadsheet that that Jason has to do to give me this information, because he physically has to get all the papers, make a spreadsheet, break it all out, do all this calculation, and then give it to me, and then I have to re-enter it, to get a check to him.
Right.
So if we could figure out a way that it's captured here, number one, that DS don't have to do all that. Lori would be able to get the report to see it, and it would make my work easier to get them their checks. So that's, you see where I'm going with that, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
because
being able to.
Lori's report could actually be signed off on.
Yeah, and as far as database, if we can add custom fields here, we add all the fields here you need for this form, for that person.
Yeah.
And then in the backdrop, we say this equals this, or put a block there until there's a checkbox that says final approval.
Right.
Then it posts over here under that time where you can access it through payroll, or Ken can
Or
access it through the,
Right, it has to go through the
pensions.
steps, but I think if it was all in one
yeah.
place, and then, like I said, they map it to go where it needs to go, once it has approved, once Lori approves it.
I think that's the bottom line, is how to get the approvals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to just put this in here raw until it's had all the,
Everything has to be
Right.
approved before it posts or goes
Right.
anywhere.
But if we're still using that, then we don't need extra stuff for the database, extra things to talk to.
yeah, the key is just when the easiest way for you to enter it. Whoever enters it, whether it's entered by the church eventually, or if it's entered by you currently, it needs to be the same type of easy form. And now, what is the columns ABCDF for?
Different churches, if they have different charges.
If it's a charge,
Different
Like
charges, okay. They just don't say that on here. So if it's just one church, then one charge, there'd just be one column.
correct.
Or districts. Some of our churches have district support, so.
But again,
Yes.
currently, the Shelby V5 does not care the individual church contribution. It's only that total column.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
That goes into.
And so that would probably be the easiest way to make it on this one as well. But
So-
whatever you need, we need to know exactly what you need it to do so that we can,
So if we're summarizing kind of by saying that we want a piece of paper with the approvals first, it only makes sense that the entry have to office rather than by the church.
Yeah.
Because I think there would be very few churches that would get it right as far as the entry is concerned.
In the district office, you all will still have the responsibility of checking that, seeing if it's right, what's going in, but it'll be easier for you to access, or to look at it now, instead of having to shuffle things around, and, that's where I'm trying to get, is make it easier on you.
Well, it sounds like there's
No,
no, you can go
online-
into one
there's
place
no-
and go,
no
oh,
online
there's
approval.
equitable comp, there's sesquitation, there's, this is where their money's coming from, so you don't have to look at one, it's all linked together.
Because
so.
sometimes when I get the sheets, I may get a pastor support worksheet, and I may get an equitable comp sheet. Or a suscitation form, or I may just get a suscitation form with no pastor support worksheet. At my level, when I'm doing the checks.
Right.
So if it were all in one place, it wouldn't matter. I could go in there and see. when it was ready.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to have it on there, but I just.
so,
I want to
Yes.
ask a
Yes.
question, if the assumption is correct, then we have no plans within this entry method forms to include an approval line. In other words, the form is entered after it's been validated and approved elsewhere, not through this system, correct?
You would put it, no, it would be approved through this system too. It would be set in place. It's like a manager approval level. I have a new credit card system. When you do your credit card, it goes to your manager to approve. That manager has to approve it before it comes to me to process. So it's just different levels of security that are set up within the form. Like it won't process until it goes to Lori.
So you
None of it will go anywhere until Lori processes it, just like you all do now. It's just a matter of how you all want it on here to get to that point.
I have a question. So when we get to that point and we're able to put in all these lines from the pastor support worksheet, can we have the ability to grant a W-2 from that?
Why do we
No.
want to put a
Lots
W-2?
of churches that
No.
don't grant W-2s for pastors.
No, we do not want to put a W-2.
No, we do not want to do that.
So no one could use this to make a W-2?
No.
You can't just make it down too.
Right. They have.
Yeah.
They're responsible for it.
Yeah, but we still do a lot of them.
You do it for the churches?
Lori does a lot, yeah.
How would you do that? You have
If
their
they give her the
numbers?
info, yeah.
Oh, and you just.
Yeah,
create-
yeah, she just creates it for them.
Oh,
Because of with the social security administration.
Give it back to them.
Yeah, give it back to them. But we just make it and give it back to them.
You get to do.
The
To the church.
The church staff that.
But no, you
Yeah,
wouldn't be
no, I
able to
wouldn't.
create.
That's their deal.
I'm just curious.
Because they
Of all
have
the
to-
information in
They would
there.
have to then file it with the IRS, along with W-3.
Right, we don't do any of that. We just-
I say, I get questions every year about that stuff, and I just I say, I can point to the records.
Yeah, I know.
You just say that's a
Yeah,
service
she
offer.
so what I'm hearing are two big priorities.
Just a second. We don't even say.
Number,
we offer
it doesn't matter,
We get asked.
it doesn't matter if the church is entering or you entering it. What I'm hearing is there's got to be at least one level of approval. And then it's got to be able to interact with the correct fields in the financial database so that it's not having to be re-entered again over there in the financials. I'm hearing that is no matter who enters it, those are two priorities. Right now, you guys are going to continue to enter it, but down the road, maybe you can get it where the churches enter it and you guys approve it before it's approved here.
Right.
So maybe you need more than one level of approval at that point.
Yeah, because Lori has to have, the bishop's office has final approval on salaries and everything.
Are you, Lori?
Yes.
Everybody keeps pointing at you, so I want to make sure that you didn't know that they're giving you all this authority and that you didn't need it. So.
Yeah, currently the bishop's office doesn't approve his
Are you gonna
numbers.
check the accuracy of it?
Well, yeah, she has to.
Yeah.
Solicitation. Yeah, solicitation. Comes through Jay, so, yeah.
Jensen and I work.
I'm sure there's gonna be-
Suggested is the cabinet.
Yeah, I know that, but
Again, this is going
I think
forward.
there's something that the commission's office has to prove is gonna cause a lot of work.
Sandy's.
Gotta walk that one carefully.
One thing you and I didn't discuss, that sounds interesting, and since you've seen the pastor support worksheet, it has calculations in it, something you've not been able to do. So we can create forms that calculate totals.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, because those human calculators don't work well, do they?
Oh, you don't.
Oh, they work great most of the
I
time.
redo all my
But again, I
spreadsheets
want
in
to
Excel.
emphasize, you all have your check
Well, once
information.
I have
Still
heard it
in you all's labs.
handwritten because
Senator
most
has
of
to
them
check
wrong.
every single PSW with the PSW Excel spread form that has the formulas in it. I don't know how much more
And see,
accurate.
see, hopefully, well, and see, with us using that Excel form,
I just said that, you said.
sometimes the calculations get off, the calculations are
Well, and then-
right.
And then if you've got a part-time employee, it starts trying to fill in, you know, the pension.
Right.
Well, I always change the pension to what the pastor wants to take out.
Yeah,
That's the one thing.
sometimes
It automatically adds it in even for
Right.
your
Right.
serving part-time.
So see, if we had something on here that had the calculations on it while you're putting it in, then that lessens the margin. for
Yeah.
error. Right. Because, you know, you're gonna get out of the database what you put in.
Whoever's working on that can access the form that we've got online
Yes,
with the calculations.
yes.
So
already.
they can pull that up and use that form in order to help create the right thing in this
And the
database.
formulas aren't going to apply to equally to each person because of the.
Depending on what you're,
Depending on the status.
depending on the status. You know, and that may be something, Ben, because if it's if I'm understanding what y'all are saying, if it's a part-time person, the calculations are different within the sheet.
Well, that-
Then it is full-time.
There's just some of the calculations that aren't needed. The
You
second
don't
one-
get pension, you don't get pension, you just do a part-time local.
For part-time elder, with full-time local wage.
Retirees.
Retirees.
Do you need separate forms? Would that
No,
be-
no.
Is it check a box?
Yeah.
All right, Ken, do you have something to add to that?
Don't do that.
Not to complicate things, but part-time versus full-time does not determine if they get pension calculations or insurance.
It's the salary level.
It's the salary.
Oh, right.
Based, what their cash salary is compared to minimum comp for their classification.
And that's in that calculation?
No,
Does that need to be in the calculation?
if they are 75%, they are eligible for health insurance. And the church is going to get billed for it if they're 75% or greater. They can be a 50% appointee and still qualify for pension. The driving factor there is, are they enrolled in the pension plan?
And then the amounts that they.
And then it's based on the cash salary and the housing arrangement. But you can have a 50% part-time local pastor that participates, you know, in the pension plan, and calculation on line 12 and 13 is valid. But if they're less than full-time and not enrolled in Westpac, then that calculation isn't.
So if they checked a certain box, then that box would determine what the calculation would be.
Well, that would
No,
make sense.
no, that box is
I
determined
have
what the
some
calculation was.
That's confusing. Now you know why our pastor.
Mhm.
It actually would be very nice to have a box on they check that says I.
Because I want to test your worksheets, what he's talking about, because see, he's having to do calculations on himself. So
Yeah.
what you're putting in can do that calculation.
3%.
My point was that the current pastor support worksheet, if you're being on Excel, it automatically put in there calculations. Whether or not the person's enrolled.
We have to override it if they're not.
Right, so what can we do if it's?
To be more accurate.
To
It
be
would be
more
nice if there were a checkbox on the form that said
There's a
This
checkbox
person
on
is
it.
enrolled in the.
Right now, we've got a field in Shelby that records the pastor's participant number at West Bath. That indicates that they're enrolled in that plan.
Yeah, but the GCFA tab,
Yeah, it's on, yeah, it is. It's on that GCFA. Somehow we need to indicate they're a participant in the pension plan. And if they are 50% appointed or greater,
That's
then the calculation takes place.
so that'll have to be communicated to us probably by the district superintendent who's filling out the PSW, right? I mean, that's where that will have to be. Yes.
If the salary sheet becomes more in line with this, if they can look along right, well, it's the checkbox is the question.
And we'll do that.
That would be-
That's what this is trying to think it through, because see, he's manually having to do all this. And if you can check on that box that it's 50% or what his calculations are, and that changes the calculations as to what, you don't have to worry about what it does, you just plug in the numbers. Because the box you check determines what the calculation is. Does that make sense, Ben?
It makes sense. Again, that kind of logic is not built into the forms currently. So that would, I've got that as a thing to bring up in 2 weeks
But
too.
am I saying that right? 'Cause
Yes.
I don't feel that, so.
Well, the thing we got to understand, the pastor support worksheet is a recap of something else that has happened. It does not drive anything. It is a summary of what's already taken place.
And where has that taken place? On the church level or the district
All
level?
over. Sustentation funds are approved.
But see, right now.
And that's conference level.
That is an action that is reflected on the pastor support worksheet. The clergy person enrolls in healthcare. That's an action on their part and an action on our part. It's reflected on the pastor support worksheet. The SPPR committee at the local church level approves the salary and the housing arrangement. That's an action at the local church level. It's reflected on the pastor support worksheet.
It kind of gathers all that.
Yeah.
in place.
The pastor declares and establishes a housing allowance resolution that determines how much of his cash salary is going to be excluded from income tax. That's approved at charge conference. That's the action. It's reflected on the pastor support worksheet.
So.
It's taken 8 years for me to get everybody to understand putting it on the pastor support worksheet is not an action.
Yeah.
That creates your enrollment in healthcare or your enrollment in West Bath.
Right, and we're not talking about enrollment, we're just
I
talking
understand,
about
but something else
figures.
has to take place before it ever
Right.
gets.
Although there are,
pastor support worksheet.
although there are signature lines, approval lines on the PSW, that's an action on the board, you know,
Yeah,
that there are.
that's an action at charge conference.
But what I'm trying to do is get the information in a field,
Yeah.
in here, with the calculations that you need.
So what I'm hearing is that this form that we build here is not necessarily just filled in by one person. It could be filled in, part of it by the conference, because they know that part that they've approved. Then somebody else fills in this part because they know what they've approved, and somebody else fills in this part because they know what they've approved, and it all goes into one place.
I think you all are, the district level are the ones that primarily are gonna be putting this in.
Yeah.
But I think there needs to be, with what Ken has said, and again, I don't do these worksheets, so I'm thinking way outside y'all's box here. If it's a 50%, whatever you're talking about, your calculations is a 75%, what those determinations are, when you check that box, then that determines what the calculations are for
Right.
that pastor at that point.
That would be awesome.
Only for the pension.
But it would go to pension. It would populate your pension, you could go see. You wouldn't
That's
have
the
to
way,
calculate.
that's the way it works.
that's the way we're trying to make it work. That's the way we do it. I'm trying to get it to work that way. I mean,
It doesn't work here
right.
at all.
If there's because you check that box on the pastor support worksheet, right? You don't have to have an opt-in.
So what were you thinking to cover today?
Right. And if you don't check the box, then the system's gonna assume that it's a regular full-time pastor.
So there's a
Unless you.
appointment status, full-time, three-quarter, half, full, quarter time. And so that will then determine which field down here, the pension or the.
Yeah. If they are, it's just half-time.
As opposed to training.
Not just what they check here, but check here plus the amount of salary.
With you and whoever, to try to.
This one says multiply and quo
I
by
don't know if we can make it happen just us talking about
amount.
it. This
increase
gentleman
recommended.
can say
But
whether
see, a
that
lot of
or
them
doesn't.
pay more, of course.
It may not even be
And
able to
then
done
you
that.
got.
But what
like
I'm
you said,
trying to
we
do
need
is
box on it,
streamline
they
the
say if they
process
wanna opt out.
so that
Because we
everybody
really
is
got
not
full-time
having to
workers
re-enter
that are full-time.
this information to the pastor's
Yeah.
career.
Well, that's clear, but I keep getting the impression that not
Right.
everything that is gonna be
So
ready
that-
for March 1 at
that's
this
not
point.
here at all.
and-
No,
and
it's just
if
we
we're,
don't fill
if
those
we're
we just don't
starting
fill those
Don't
lines.
fill them out,
to
yeah.
be required to use.
So a calculation would have, then there would have to be another check mark there to take that into account. Okay.
It's confusing, and now we wonder why our pastors get so confused. They still, most of them don't understand it at all.
Some volunteer board chairman of a church.
They definitely don't understand it.
So you want this design discussion then throw on?
I would like for it to, because I don't know what you all do. This is for you all, for me to help you get this set up.
Do we have a whiteboard or something that we might could draw up some kind of a plan out?
You all tell me, this is for you all.
The only calculation that can come out of there is the amount in bill potential.
But they can make up their own mind about how much they adjust their pension, whether they
No,
will.
direct billing.
Yeah, but you're focusing on the direct billing aspect of it, Kenny, you should be. But there's other calculations that are run on a pastor support worksheet. For example, are all the church contributions adding to the total? Is the housing that is given, be it parsonage or a housing contribution, but parsonage in particular, is that the 25%? Right, of the line, so those calculations go on, is what I'm saying.
Well,
And so it's not only pension that goes on, pension is the important part that goes into the financial model, agreed.
yeah, there are calculations within the worksheet itself that have to be checked.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to insinuate. But
It's
the
one
only
of
product that comes out of that is the calculation direct interest.
This was more.
It's all what we do. It is complicated. It is.
I'll hold you there.
Okay.
She's going to get a mark.
So you're gonna be the Easton. Very well-rounded and, so what I
I'll
want.
watch it. Don't step in it.
So what would be good is to, first of all, what you currently are doing, the process that's currently happening. And then what you want to happen. Okay, let's dream, and I'll take these into our meeting and say, this is the way Holston needs it, do it, and it's done, right?
Sure. Because B5 is that we currently operate, Sandy has everything intact, everything can run like it's running now. This is going forward with the agreement. How can we make it easier?
I think you need to start with a fresh pastor that's brand new and mark his trail. So to, who's doing what. And-
But the
And
fields, the fields that are on that form, you put all that information.
Yeah,
in.
but, right, we do, but if we start from, because we have to put the tax rate as well.
Yeah.
So if we track it and show who does what, and he'll know
That's a good
what
idea.
area affects
Would that help
who.
you?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, start at the beginning. So we add a name, we add what church is serving and the dates, and then we start with the salary. The dream, I think a dream idea would be what you check, whether they're part-time elder or full-time, and that in that mark, it then has the salaries in the machine, it knows where we should land.
Yeah, the minimum salary.
Minimum maximum, because it's different for every type of appointment. And then just start filling in the lines on the kids, on the charge, I think we do now. When they started.
So is the status, what are the different statuses?
It's,
They're on the
Full elder.
back side of that.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
go to the
They're on the
bottom.
bottom, but.
Oh, the bottom.
back side is.
Appointment status, okay, all those different ones there.
Full elder,
Yeah,
part-time
we can pull
local,
it up.
full-time local.
And all those determine what their salary is?
Correct.
Minimum
Okay.
salary.
Minimum.
Minimum
If you
salary.
look on the
back of the pastor support worksheet.
I don't have a back to it.
Mine's got my writing on it.
Pull that.
So FE, full elder, retired
But that
elder.
would need to be incorporated into the system for the calculations of those different things.
See, that has to be, that has to be their minimum, but some churches they decide, no, we're gonna pay more.
I mean, it can help them.
Oh, yes, yeah. You can put it on the screen. That would
Yeah.
be awesome.
So how does, we're set up as pastor, and this pastor is appointed to a charge with 3 churches on
Are
it.
you, I can share your screen?
I'm gonna have to leave
Oh.
my computer, so.
Yeah, they've got a 10 o'clock meeting, they've got. she's gotta go
So
to.
that's my question. We're setting up a new pastor. And right now I'm seeing a church view. That's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna go into a church. Now, so that pastor is appointed to a charge that has 3 churches on it. Are we going into 3 different churches and setting up that pastor with the share of the salary? Or will there be a charge structure as there is now? I'm just starting at the beginning.
Because you have to, you're gonna have to be able to designate charges in here,
Yeah,
for
sure.
sure.
Gotta have that
To be like
framework.
a tree.
I mean, unless you're entering all the churches.
Yeah, it'll be the level to the tree though, you know, and, yeah.
So I don't want to make assumptions here.
So we come to district, we have 9 districts,
And hey, you guys, before I had to leave, the only reason that I wanted to be here, like you guys were here, was for you to, some of you don't know about how the data currently comes from Shelby and then gets to the website. And we found out that the arena is not gonna let us create a searchable, where you search for clergy and churches. So we're still gonna have to export data to the website.
Oh.
So you know, so whenever somebody says, my information's not right on the website, you'll have to let me know still that, change it in Shelby so we can get it to the website. I want you guys to be sure to understand how that's gonna work. If it needs to change on the website, if their person's profile, contact information, or church information.
That's all clergy,
Yeah.
who else?
Yeah, they said it, they can't.
Anybody who
search
does
it for the public.
Conference.
Okay, so who is going to be Vanna?
Yeah.
One church.
Oh, I'm gonna be Van.
Because you won't be able to read it if I write it. All right, so we need to take a break or something, we okay, or keep moving, rolling? Who has to go to 10 o'clock meeting?
I'm waiting to hear this actually started, because I don't think. My boss is gonna let me know if I need to be there.
All right, so I don't care how we approach this, I can take pictures of multiple, so I just want us to, we want to start with a new pastor, and then do what would happen with the existing pastor, what would happen with a pastor that has multiple charges, or one charge in multiple churches. I'm fine with taking pictures of that, but I just want to make sure you guys have the ability to communicate what your needs are in an appropriate way. Now that's, again, those are what you're doing currently, and then we'll come back and erase it and say, okay, now this is the way we would like to see it happen, dreaming. So, have a new pastor, what happens?
Okay, so is this a new pastor, he comes in, what's the conference office do? They have to see if he needs insurance and things like that, right?
I don't know.
Well,
I have no
Ken
idea.
was here. Can answer that.
It's not the conference office that does
I guess I'm not good
insurance.
man, so.
Does
Well,
Tim
like-
have anything?
Well, he has to go through, I mean, like they're approved and they're coming in and they're gonna fill out a new pastor support worksheet. What happens with that?
Well, don't we want to create a pastor first?
Yes. We have to actually make a record for the pastor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to make a record.
Right?
Okay.
So,
So how do we make that?
We've
We've been pulling the record in from another module. Say you've got a local pastor like myself, okay? Then my module was in global file. So you pull that over into the appointments module. And that's what we've
Well,
been
but
doing.
now it's already gonna be in.
So that's
the one.
already gonna be, we do all of that in the membership, right? So we don't have to pull that over. So we start, we just.
So we first create that
John Doe has
pastor.
graduated from local licensing school, is now a local pastor, so you enter him into the membership.
Who enters that record initially now?
We
currently?
would do that.
We do.
You all
Okay,
would.
the district admin.
So just like you were
Okay,
entering
so
an officer.
put that there.
So what happens when you make a record?
No, because we go to the appointment. Certainly we add it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we
you start with the person, and now the person has a charge. So, where does the charge record come from, or are we attaching only to a church record?
Well, the churches are already
churches-
attached.
The church is considered a
I'm
charge.
asking, are they?
The church is a charge, and if it's only one charge, then the charge and the church is the same thing.
Right,
So you're
But-
attaching it to the charge.
so you're so there is a place that we will see on how to make churches combine them into charges.
Yeah.
And whatever, okay,
Correct.
that's, I
Yeah,
mean, we
that's a
haven't been
good-
through that
that's a
yet, I'm
good point.
asking,
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
But
okay.
who actually enters the record the first time for the pastor?
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Okay,
district
so,
But we don't put in his insurance.
correct, but I'm just saying, the record's brand new, who actually enters, so, I'm saying, make a record, put, who does that?
So once we have him entered into that appointment module, then you just enter him like you would any other church.
But the church in charge already exists.
Like any other pastor.
Now, this would be where you check the boxes, right?
Right.
Hopefully it'll.
Okay, but
Well, so you would enter, your district superintendent would work with say, okay, it's June, he's got his appointment, he's going to Payne's Chapel. And, so the DS and the SPRC committee have set the salary, and they filled out the PSW, and so then we would go in and fill in the,
information off the
off
PSW.
the information off the PSW.
Now, under, what's gonna determine, because we're thinking outside the box here, those calculations, you said they're full-time, they're part-time, what do you check on that form after you establish him? What are you making him?
So who fills out this, you said it's,
Okay.
or who fills out this form?
DS.
When is this form filled out in this process?
It's to make him a part-time local pastor or four-time, so his salary will be based on
Now
that.
the church.
It actually goes the other way.
PRC.
Yeah.
And then the
Their salary
pastor
determines
and the
whether they're
district
part-time
superintendent has
or
oversight.
full-time.
When they get the
Well,
records,
yeah, it doesn't
Local
matter.
church level.
I mean, it
Yes,
doesn't matter.
local church and
And
DS.
it's
So,
approved yearly and church conference.
All right, and is this already filled out before the record's made?
Yes.
Yes,
I
when they
know.
get it,
So is this what indicates to you that we have a new pastor in the system?
Well, hopefully there's some communication with the district superintendent.
Here,
but you get this piece of paper, that's what.
We also have the elected
it all
bed.
off.
We wanna put it on the screen. Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm trying to.
You better give me that back.
See, I don't care about somebody's already doing it. I wanna know, when a brand new person comes in, who is putting in their, somebody's gotta put in that they want insurance and all that. That needs to be done before we can send those. the new system. That's what I'm trying to say is because, you know, if we want to make this streamlined, then it's like somebody at the conference office has to get that paperwork in. Then it clicks for the next step.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
it's
see, I don't know,
brand new.
that's what I'm trying to work
So
out.
what happens is we have open enrollment.
Oh, yeah.
And churches are charged for medical insurance.
Right.
Regardless of whether the pastor has it or not. So the pastor, some churches, not all churches, it's on all the calculations. But then that keeps churches from pastor shopping and saying, we only want the ones that don't have families or aren't sick or whatever.
Right.
You know, and that's how we pay, that's how we stay safe. So the billing is going to the church. When what happens is that the bookkeeper or the finance, when something changes, then we get a call from the business office at Muncie and they say, hey, Mark Hicks is no longer here, it's now James Redmond. We need to terminate Mark Hicks, he's gone abroad, whatever. And then we do it. So we're notified by the church when there's a change in
Right.
who has.
But in Shelby right now, somebody's put in participation and all that. We don't do that part. So what I'm trying to say is streamline, then the system needs to be set to,
Yeah,
for the
their
next
insurance,
step.
their insurance number in the West Pack, no, when that.
Can it put the numbers in, yes.
I had to check.
But if we do it differently, then it needs to be done in some kind of procedural steps before it can be actually finalized.
Before you start putting this in?
Probably, because I won't know
Yeah.
what kind of insurance, if he's already enrolled and, you know what I'm saying? If it's a brand new person.
So you've got to have salary before you can have to determine what the insurance. rate is.
Right.
So one thing depends on another.
Yeah. So you gotta have, but he calculates that from this information, Julie, correct?
From that he receives from the district.
Right.
He is the.
Right.
So if you're gonna map it, what I'm saying right now is if you're gonna map it, you need to know that this has to work in a way that one thing can't be completed before the other because they depend on each other, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I was thinking, is that if you had a form that, you know, once this part's filled in, then somebody else comes in and fills this part, somebody else comes in and fills this part, and then it goes back to you guys for approval, and it goes to Julie for, Lori for approval. Would be the kind of the best case scenario.
So does it start with you all, Julie?
It's just like when I came to work here, I sat down with you and you said, do you want a pension plan, do you want insurance? Here's your hourly rate, here's your, except what's happening with churches is it's the SPRC is saying to the pastor, we have health insurance available, your part would be this much, do you want it or not?
Yeah, there's like another branch stuck in
All that
there that
information
makes it more
goes-
difficult.
Here's the pension plan, you're eligible, do you want it or not? So that information has to come from the church. It's just like, instead of there being one HR person.
A little sidearm.
Yeah, so it is.
All right, so let's go back to what's currently happening. I'm getting two different words. Sometimes the PSW is your indication that you need a new record. Other times you say they've communicated, so that record may or may not be in the system once you receive the PSW. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, and so, but either way, will the district or will the conference add any record if they know that someone graduates from gets certified, or does that all come through you? So whether you've added it before or after you get this form, it's irrelevant. Either way, you're entering it into Global File.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And then, at some point in time, if you haven't gotten it, received it, you will get this form.
Yes.
And that determines what church they go to?
Correct.
Or is that determined, I thought that was determined by the conference.
That is determined.
Well,
But it's on the form when they get it in.
It's arranged by the district superintendent, approved by the district superintendent.
impact on the
Yes, if they do that next
So
week.
you don't enter that in before this point? The first time you know that will be on this form?
Show them the bottom.
But it's all signed in the system and we get the form, but it's pre-approved.
Okay, but it's not in the system at all.
Right. Scroll down to the instructions. Okay, so if you look at the instructions, you know, those are some of the criteria that you have, for filling out that form.
Yeah, I see that disclaimer at the bottom that says all the pastors are responsible for their own, to go get their own tax advisor.
Yep.
All right, so once then you have this, some of it you may not have complete because you may not have all this information yet. You just have what the church knows. The church provides this to you, right?
No, we usually have pretty much all the information. I mean, we know whether or not we're getting suscitation, equitable comp, or what's the one, the.
But how do you know that from this form? Because you only have one field for all those three areas.
Right.
But they fill out
But we
another
have
form.
There's another form they have to
No,
fill
there-
out. See, that's
there
what
are
I'm trying to
actually several
streamline.
forms.
The church fills that out, or the pastor fills it out?
The
or
DS.
The DS.
Yes.
And then it comes here to Congress.
Yeah,
to get
on
to
this,
the-
all that is reflected in this one line up here.
Conference salaries.
Yeah,
But it could come from 3 different sources.
but it comes from 3 different sources, so.
And another form is what determines whether.
And then there's
it's
another
resources.
form for each of those you have to fill out, right?
And again, that's filled out by who?
The DS.
The DS is in their office, right? So depending on whether they would click box A, B, or C in reference to the salary supplement,
Yeah.
that would make it do different calculations.
Well, Angela, it isn't an either or, it can be an and. There are
They
some-
do
there are
get
some
both. There are some that get
situations
both.
Where there's a
Mhm.
couple of them that contribute to that.
I have
And,
not.
I have some that I'm sending out of both pots,
Mhm.
some all
So is
3.
that calculation, that form, okay, how does the DS make that, how do y'all make that calculation?
Well, it's basically, you know, what the church, you know, can afford to pay. And then how, you know, what the pastor has to make. Sometimes it has to do with, his educational level, and what his minimum salary requirement is.
But the DS
that's how
determines that
appointments
with
are
the
made.
pastor.
The
Okay.
DS will have it.
Right, they've already determined that when we get to this point.
Okay, got it.
And
Yes.
sometimes currently, when they fill out the form, if they're getting sustentation or equitable comp or new church development funding or district funding, anything outside of the local church, that goes online too. And sometimes they will go ahead and up above, where it gives you a place up higher than that, where it gives you a place to list, it has A, B, C, D, E, F.
Yeah, church or district.
They will list, someone will list the main salary under one, and then under another column, online two, they will put like the equitable comp, or then the next one, sustentation, say if they get both.
So maybe they'll have an amount here,
Yes.
another, but no amount here, another amount here,
Yes.
and
exactly.
here, and here, and here.
And
Right.
they will note at the top, under like A, B, C, D, E, F, they will note if that's sustentation.
Or equitable comp.
Or district funds, what have you, so that we know, but that's currently how they list.
So maybe,
To note the division between the supplemental funds.
so maybe Sandy, we need to redesign this form better? I'm asking you all. This is to help you. I don't know, because I don't do them. I'm asking.
The only thing I would say is you just need to be real careful in this process of making it so complicated
Mhm.
that every time you keep adding all kinds of things and make it more and more complicated, you're raising the level of error,
Mhm.
of the chance of error.
because something's gonna be missed, or something else, and it happens. Anyway, we just need, I think we need to be careful of, we need to have the divisions, but I think we need to really
Keep it simple.
what we're doing and not make
Yeah, for me,
it so
anything would be simpler than that.
So.
Yeah, this is sad, it's
Not to
simple,
make
but it
it so
is.
complicated that it becomes cumbersome in the.
So are we talking about the form, or are we talking about in?
I'm talking about the process right now. We're gonna go
I
next
think
step
in
on that.
reality,
So,
the conference salary supplement sheet, the information is coming through the cabinet, so essentially from the conference, if I can use that term interchangeably, a particular individual, the approval. So, since it's coming from there, technically, the district office is entering it, yes, because it's entering everything.
Yeah.
But it could be backed up that piece actually doesn't come from the church. The church knows about it, but doesn't come from the
so
church.
let's mark up here, where the PSW comes in. And then pretty much that's it. Because once you get the PSW, everything is entered. Well, no, because then Kim still has his part entered, right?
It has his
Yeah,
pension
which is
dinner.
toward the
So
bottom of the form.
but his is entered from the PSW as well?
Right.
Or is his?
It's all on this form.
Okay, so, Angela, if you'll, put
And it's not-
PSW here that they will enter, and, so, DSA admin, so let's put everything DSA admin, so put the receipt DSW somewhere.
4 or 5, which does pensions. Who does that? We don't do that. We got 3, 2, 1.
And so that's, but then the entered by DSA admin, yeah, and so then that DSA admin, once the DS, what happens to that once the DS, they finish with it?
Then they start to.
Okay,
They,
then what
when they
happens?
get these sheets, all this is already filled out.
Correct, then what happens at that point?
They put it all in the system.
Correct, then what?
Then Ken does his part.
Okay,
Then
so,
Ken needs to do
okay,
his.
so then put the next thing on conference,
Sandy, I think you need to
Sandy.
answer that question.
Okay, Ken does not take the pastor's support worksheet. He takes that information for pensions off a report that you give him, correct?
Yes, now, he has the pastor support worksheets, I put them in the book. They're in there, and he refers to those that he has a problem with.
But you're taking the information off the pastor support worksheet and giving it to him.
Yes,
and
yes.
in what form, are you putting it, where are you doing it with it?
And I pull it out as a query and provide him with the information, and he goes ahead and pipes that to the.
So she,
See, I'm trying to make a query out of
right.
what's being put on here.
So she enters, they're entering the PSW, you're writing a query to get the information from the PSW that you give to, Ken.
Exactly.
Okay, so put that step in there.
Yeah.
We don't either every person.
Query.
Yeah.
Right.
We have two also. I mean.
Right, and then
1, 2.
Ken, yeah,
And
and then Ken enters that information manually.
34, 11. And that's it.
All right, as the,
Ken sends an Excel spreadsheet then to the Board of Pensions with all of the information.
okay,
And see, that's your feedback. We don't have access to it, and everybody's doing these Excel
Yeah.
spreadsheets. So that's what I'm
Okay.
trying to get away from.
so go put that extra line that he is then exporting
We can't.
to Board of Pensions. And what do they do with it then?
What do we enter?
Goes to Board of Pensions.
Okay. You
Yeah.
didn't care.
Yeah.
All right,
The monthly pension.
and what is different with an existing pastor? Anything except this one thing, just you don't make a record?
Right, we
Well,
still
with
have
an
to.
existing pastor, if they are appointed to a new church, then.
Yeah.
They could put it
But the
in.
process is still the same though, you still get the PSW
Yes. Yeah, we have
as the
Yes.
point of contact.
We do have to mark whether or not it's a new appointment.
Right.
Okay. Do we the amount that we put now, Sandy,
We
we
have
started
to,
like.
we have to
what, a year
mark
and
the
a half
starting
ago,
date for the new
Putting
one.
over into,
Starting.
Global file? Global file.
In the GCFA.
Well, we won't have the
Yeah.
tentative date.
Yeah. Would that be something that could be entered with
the
this
last
new thing, rather than having to go back to something different?
newest appointment.
The only reason it was on custom appointment was because there was
For your year. Okay,
that should be allocated.
Room for a slash room for
Okay.
the-
So we need to add that to the
Yeah,
PSW.
So,
It's pretty much the same
Well, it
process.
is
It's still, it's the
It's on-
PSW.
it's on
Okay. Angela?
Yeah.
Angela,
Yeah,
okay.
we got,
so
Right
we have a
now-
starting
right
date
now.
and an end date for each pastor,
Right.
for those appointments. And we need to know when they were a brand new appointment.
Right, and that, but that's no different. It still is,
Right,
nothing happens until you get the PSW.
right.
Okay.
Because that indicates where they're going or where they were, right?
Right.
Okay, what we enter off of here is, of course, we take the name, we do whether their appointment status, we do, full-time, part-time, all of that, but then we do line 1 and line 2 if there is conference money involved. Then we do line 8. We don't do anything, and we do line 8.
And then 10 or 11, there's a place to mark.
Yeah,
Where they're housing allowance.
and then we have to take, right now.
You have to scroll down a little bit.
You've
Scroll down a
also
little
got to verify this to make sure whether they changed, might changed or not, right?
You're
verifying everything.
Yeah.
You're verifying math,
And
you're
then down there on line 14, we have to go now over to global file. And on the GCFA tab, we have to put in the amount that they want taken out for monthly.
Right, and these
Is
is
it
what I'm
monthly or
talking
annual?
about.
No, monthly.
It's monthly, I don't remember what it's there too.
Map of it.
Correct.
So we were wanting to know if that could be put into this new
Yeah.
Right,
thing rather than having to go back to another thing.
right,
Yeah.
that's my goal, is for all this to where it's going, like the pension,
should be on one page.
it'd already be over there.
Yeah.
But it would go there, but all this information would be in one place that you put in.
Right,
That
that
should
would
be
be
on
much
one
better.
On
page.
one page.
Yeah.
And right now, even the part-time, full-time, or whatever, that's over in global file.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, all that's in global files, which
Yeah.
that would be much better if it's all right
One
there.
place.
Yeah.
We set up a GCFA tab to capture those extra fields that were needed over time
Yeah.
that were not already in appointment.
Okay.
And so they are all on that GCFA tab, but all of those need to be integrated into the appointment.
All right.
So that's the
Well, that's
goal.
easy.
Yeah.
That's already in place.
Right.
Yeah, I
So
think,
it's ones that are over here that are going over into the pension module that would be the new part.
and that's where the information has to be correct. It's crucial because that's what Ken is making their calculations off of. But then you all would be able, once you got all your people put in, you would be able to run a report that has all the information that you put in for all your churches, for you to check them.
That's handy to validate.
Right.
That's my goal, is for y'all to be able to run a report from all these, so you can see them and check them. Because then that might be an approval level there, maybe, where you all approve it. That what you put in is correct. When you enter it, you approve it, right?
Yeah.
But once you get your report, that could be just a step that we do to make sure
It's always a nice.
Well, that would be
check.
great for our district superintendent would like that.
where he could look at it,
Where he
and
can
he
look
can
at it.
check it, right? And then once you've checked off on it, then Lori can see it, and then Lori checks off on it.
Well, but it still all comes down to the date range.
You gotta put them date ranges in.
You know, you
Gotta
can
put the
put
date
as
ranges
many,
in.
as many PSWs in there, but if you don't have, if you've got 01/01/2022, it's not gonna go into effect until
Yeah,
22.
right. So you have to put the start and the end dates in, because that's what drives your reports.
And then that's gonna drive the pensions, that's
Right.
Right, because there was some question that Ken brought up on a salary supplement where you want one payment made. Those are,
Yeah.
I get them that way. Instead of it being divided over 12 months, they get one payment. I don't know why. That's just what happens now. And then Ken's saying, well, that throws off my calculation. I don't know what to tell you about that because I got it from the DS that said to do it that way. So I don't know how that, there's always going to be exceptions that it's
Oh,
not,
yeah.
you know.
Well, and while we do these around charge conference time, there's also LDS you have to consider. And,
Right.
and
again,
the
there's
fact
gonna
that,
have
and
to
the
be-
fact that we're entering this for a January 1 start always to December 31st.
Correct.
And some of those are gonna actually end just naturally with the appointment
Right.
process, so.
Right, and then you'll go in and you would change that, you know. But the starting and end dates and deadlines, you know, this is going to be driven by deadlines. And
We're already.
which you already, so you're used to that. Y'all are used to that. But for you all to be able to run your reports at the district level, all your churches you have to have all your stuff in.
Really?
Isn't that funny how that works? It's weird how that works.
They don't understand that.
And I know y'all are dealing with that, but we're, you know, there's, you still have to look over the data. You still have to do it. Your DS still needs to look over it, you know, because Ken's right. You know, him and Julie, you know, Julie is shadowing Ken because she's going to step into his position one day. And so they have to have the right information to calculate their pensions. And then they have to go to the Board of Pensions and enter stuff manually. So see, if you could get a report out of here, in theory, you could do an export and you can upload that. Instead of, again, everybody's having to put the same information in 14 times. So that's what I think Arena offers that we don't have now in V5 is the reporting capabilities and to be able to export and have a report, but it's only as good as your data that you're putting in.
Some of the other things that one of the other things that that drives me crazy trying to do is open pastor position.
Open pastor position?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how that would be handled.
Yeah. Or there is.
Or there's no.
It's temporarily open. I mean, you're just, an appointment is in, somebody's died maybe, and you don't have
Because the
somebody
open
else's
pastor
appointed yet.
position is actually
Is
stepping
a
in as a
pastor.
pastor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then when you do get a pastor, you
Yes,
gotta
Steve.
get
Where
that.
that comes in, the open position is in order to keep all the churches in the system. So if you run a report on your churches, all your churches are there.
And there's not a
If
pastor.
Pastor leave, the computer says, okay, this has no pastor, it doesn't show the church.
Right.
You go to pull the church files, it doesn't register with the computer as an active church because it has no pastor. So that's what the open pastor position was created. That is your quote pastor while there's an opening.
Right.
In order to keep the church active and in the mix and receiving anything from the conference that needs to be received.
So while you're reprogramming, you would think you could just have it active.
There could, maybe that's a button too.
You just have.
Well, the church is not inactive. It's just
Correct.
We don't currently have a pastor.
Correct.
There's no one filling that position.
Right.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
that's an option that they check.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just, I
open.
don't
It's
see
just
why that would,
open.
I don't see why that would make any difference at all.
Yeah, it's just an option that you check.
Positions open there.
So the
The
position.
other position that we have that's like that is our preaching station. Because other than two of them, basically speaking, preaching stations don't have a pastor. So preaching station is the pastor.
Yeah.
While they are.
That's the pastor. That would be in that field, opened or preaching
And that
station.
should be a
Preaching station.
This is employment you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a church that, they can't bring it up to pay it, so we relieve them of their punishments and their tithes and then, so they don't have an official.
Right.
So that would be an option that you checked or you filled in for that.
We just need to be able to account for all 970.
Correct. Correct. You might have to ask for that,
And
correct.
that extra is down here. And, a lot of the information is constantly being funneled to the general church, GCFA. And therefore, we have to account for them. They will pop back and say, well, you know, you only had 960 churches. Where's the other 14
Mhm.
churches?
And again, that goes back to, we'd like to get export options because we give this information to other places.
Right.
And everybody's doing them in Excel sheets. And it's not the system.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to get away from, is that Shelby is where all the data is, not in Excel sheets.
Right.
Outside.
So you want to now erase that and let's dream.
Okay. Y'all want to take a bio break?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, break.
And then when you come back, I thought if Calhoun's was okay, I'd give y'all a little menu. You could order lunch. I'll have lunch delivered.
Okay.
Is that good?
What are we doing?
Calhoun's?
We're gonna order.
Eden?
Anybody?
Anybody Angela?
Yes.
Yeah, when we come back, we'd like to see how to enter officers and leaders.
That's on the list. We've got that on the list. That's what, I got a whole packet for y'all's forms.
Oh, yippee.
And some of them could relate to this, some of them don't.
Yeah.
But when we had that phone conversation, I had this packet in front of me, what I was talking about. I don't know what you all.
You know, yeah.
That's all right.
We know.
I just meant, you know.
Well, officers and leaders and and things like, so
Again, that you could get a report out.
So profiles, right now, we've got profiles and the relationship paths. So is all of that gonna go in the same place now?
Everything that's here now will transfer over like this.
But what
Now,
will
we may
profiles
change
be
it.
under? Will profiles also be?
Right.
Yeah, well, profiles and relationships, you understand what I'm saying?
Relationships are gonna be appointments.
Right,
It's gonna be under appointments, but I don't know about profiles.
profiles, right.
Well, and the profiles, of course, you assign to you, and I don't know if y'all do that.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all do that? Well, we're creating some.
Oh, yeah, profiles is like,
I want to assign everybody that's got a red shirt
They
on.
attended conference.
Right.
Profile.
And our district boards.
Yeah.
Right, you assign that person that.
Officers and
So then-
tellers,
Then you
you
can
know.
run a report and say, I want everybody that went to annual conference.
Our district
Or
boards,
district boards for this year, again, you gotta put those dates in.
yeah, our district boards, our officers, our the ushers and tellers and
See, right now,
Which-
right now, Sandy puts in
conference attendees.
under profiles, like for an annual conference. She puts the date right out there, so we don't have to put dates.
We don't have to have an end date on those, we just have to have.
Wheel every week. All you have to do is put the dates in.
Well,
That's where the disconnect is with
We
this.
got like.
Yes, that's
profiles.
what I'm trying to, that's what I'm trying to get different. And, you know, I'm not ready to see, city's doing really good to keep this running like she is, but
it's complicated.
this is a relationship database. It's not a flat database where you just put information in and put information in. Right. This person has been going to annual conference for this many years. You just mark the years. You don't put in a new profile every year. That's the problem, is there's 600 profiles.
She wants to catch.
Well, if the dates are,
You know, if they started going in 2000, but
One
of the problems.
Right.
Yeah, and see, that's another thing, like if you have
see,
a
that's why
teacher
you have an
charge,
end date and
you
start.
have, but then you will have that many entries. Because if you have a teacher charge and 1 year
This one goes from that.
Smith,
But that would be in
Smith
that
United Methodist Church.
That would be in that
Jones
person.
Jones United Methodist Church.
That's
And
back,
back
that would be in that person's records, but then you have to know how to run a query, how to run a report, not to, this is not. You have to know what.
If you could have like one check each, like a box for each year, and maybe, okay, so you didn't do 2012, and then you did, and then you had 2013, and then you had, and you didn't have this
So
year,
instead of
so.
having a whole new record every year with
Go in and check the box.
with a new profile, just maybe just every year.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the year.
The year.
So if they went 2012 and they skipped 2011.
We're not on that.
You need to see 2012, 2014.
Yeah, for some of the profiles though, it's been good because we don't have to do the indexes on some of those.
This one you just put a year,
You
because
just
if it
put,
was just attendance, it'd just be the year that they were there. So it would never be an end date or beginning, it would just be a year.
some of the ones that she's got, some of the things she's got is listed, we don't have to do index at all. So that's kind of, and that's, because you really don't.
That's what it's complicated.
And it is, and what I'm trying to get to. Oh, sorry. I know, right? I decided that a long time ago.
Want to get back out.
Exactly, exactly. Right. I don't want you to, I just want you to print it.
Well,
It's not new.
It's that one.
I just want all of you to be able to do that all. They can figure it out. It can figure it out.
Should be able to do it.
And then it's over there for them to look at. He doesn't have to do that.
Then he can approve it.
Correct. Right. He gets a report and everybody's looking at it and approving that before anything's done with it.
I mean, they have to do billing,
Right.
so that's going to be the approval.
Oh, don't call.
My brother, their spare bedroom, they it was so hard, which was good. I thought, confident.
Print a document.
You could just roll on their side and you had all that support around.
Well, there's something that was done, and I don't know why, but suddenly it signed me out. And I can't print it.
Yeah, I've got to re-download Adobe. Is what it's asking me to do on one of my computers at work. So I'll find a way around it. I don't subscribe and pay for it again.
I know, well, we pay for it, that's why I should be able to sign in. Share it, I don't know what we're saying.
He's been looking for scam emails.
That's what he does.
I'm going to put a button on here and they can watch my children for me too.
I mean, whatever.
I don't want to easy button, just get a pause button.
We'll just check it out.
I don't have an easy button on my desk. I'm very disappointed. Yeah, I do. That was easy.
Feel refreshed?
Yeah.
And renewed?
Yeah.
Got that energy?
That's what I should do. The haiku writing.
The haiku writing.
In times like these.
You want to show him what we do. I'm showing now.
It's probably different from one. To show
Not show him, show him how we do that now. It might show, that way maybe he'd understand what we're talking about.
Well, they've got access to that. They've got those, they have access to B5, so they can go pull up that appointment page and see what we put in.
He doesn't necessarily know who puts it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm looking at it.
I'm just saying to communicate with him, to show him what we do and how we do it. It might,
Well, but we do so much, we can't just be stuck on one thing for today either.
No, we need to
How
go
many
on.
forms do we have?
I want to see how to put it off.
yeah, I think it's.
It sounded like when I asked you.
Chances are, we're gonna have to get in it and go, this ain't, we gotta get something
Like
else.
that relationship with the church, doesn't go into a limit of that church.
Well, and that's
Appointments
why
is not gonna be just pastors, appointments. is gonna
That's
be
what she was saying.
But that's what I said, we need to have something, we don't want to see that, but we said it was a pastor.
That's why I was talking about with the terminology.
We don't want to see that.
We've got to be able to
Leader,
Right.
do we?
I'm doing like me, not having.
I didn't even know the term relationship. I thought that's what you could, so just make it officers and appointments or something.
And so I have to be careful about what I'm doing. Make sure I don't get that call me out. I think a lot of it is careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still can't, I have to avoid the spices. Yeah. Still can't do spicy. I mean, occasionally I'll have something a little spicy, but, I mean, I used to eat stuff that is. I hear all the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just can't do that. So that's the thing that-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. And bananas. Yeah. No, at all. And bananas are something that, like when you have stomach stuff, it's a brass.
Here's that. This is the meat.
Yeah. But. So, I mean, before I developed that also, I was doing smoothies pretty much every day.
So right now, I can eat.
I'll make smoothies, but bananas were.
I was told that they
I pre-reserved it.
I used to be able to.
I did, that's some kind of sitting shelf. Because see, I can't
I can't either.
from here,
I can't either.
know.
and I don't know what the deal, but see, all that will change when it's in class.
Yeah.
Everybody will be.
That'll be great.
Our computer, your computer, right, but you're over here, so this will, it'll come to your printer, right? Right now, it's this big. It's 20 years old, and it's. We don't have like, we used to 20 years now. And it's. You better be behind your head.
Okay, one thing you're gonna just want to do. Okay, you see.
And once we get to the
But it's not
We're not on it. We're not. I want you guys to at least know what's going on in it. And us just not put it up there and say, here's, do things that need to say.
This is like all of my office contactor.
Yes, yes. All of that
But being able
outside
to
research.
Yes. I can't do labels or anything.
Right.
And when you export them, then it puts it in
CSV file.
And
You gotta go through and reformat.
because each one's a little, it's a little line.
But you can, right, you can't get it in that format to make it.
Well, then you can't get the stuff that you want right now. On my office was a leaders list, I went through, I was trying to pull the lay leaders off of those. And there were things on the query that, I mean, it was just weird. So I
Right.
just, forget it, I'm going, I'll just enter the
forms on
scratch.
how to
So
but
it
you have
took
to
me
know,
a day to do
you have to
that.
know what fields.
I just pulled.
To do it. Now, I don't know things like
Well, I
this.
did, that's usually what I do, and there was something that was not right, and I don't know if it was because.
And I think that's why everybody's having to export it to Excel, because we couldn't get it straight out of shell, because you can't make it print.
Yeah.
And see, that won't be.
There was something that wasn't, it wasn't the
Can
information
you
that I
read it? I'm
needed.
sorry, it's so small.
There was so, you know, so I just.
Yeah, and whatever, I said, we may have to push it another month, and do that's fine, or whatever it takes, because these ladies are the ones that do.
Correct.
They do the work, so I want it to be,
When
I want it to
when
be
is
easier for you.
when you start getting these, is the major crunch time for getting it?
Okay, for pastor support worksheets and our charge conference stuff, they start charge conference usually like towards the end of September, November, October, into November. We have to have all that data in by the end of December.
All right, so we're not in any hurry until October when they start coming, as far as this is concerned.
Well, no, we will have to, in June, 1st of July, we're gonna get new pastors. Okay, they're, in 2 weeks, they're going to us 1 week. And they'll be making appointments, but they won't become effective until July 1.
Right.
Right after the conference, and then, but we have to put all that in, all of these pastor support worksheets before annual conference.
All right,
So
so
that's June second.
But we usually have them in by the end of May.
Yeah, we have to have them in before annual conference. So,
meaning that the changes.
the changes, yeah.
And so with some changes, the PSW, so you may get the PSW on a person twice. One that he's currently in 2018 and appointed to 2019, but then they change it.
Yeah, and what we have to do is we have to go in there under appointments and end them June 30th and start them in the new church July 1.
Yeah, so that will change, could change everything about their salaries or how they're getting everything.
Yeah, definitely.
So we all get.
So you have to have, okay, but you only get one PSW a year.
No, we have more than one in the appointments.
Right, but normally, you only get one.
Normally it's one. Normally it's to the budget
January
year.
1 to December.
But you have to, you get that, the appointments are made in July.
Correct.
And so you get the PSW generally in the fall or spring.
Fall. It's the
Fall for
majority of it.
everybody.
For everybody.
Every
Everybody has to do it.
appointment, and not just new. And then
Okay,
in
I'm
the spring,
confused.
the ones that
Everybody has to
are
have a
appointed
new
on.
pastor support worksheet every year.
Right, but if the pastor support sheet goes from January to December,
Right.
and the appointment goes from July to June, how does that reconcile?
You still count them for a whole year. Their salary is on that pastor support worksheet, and it's for the whole year, even if they stop.
And that all has to do with your direct billing and pension.
Yeah.
Okay, so they get paid for this charge for that, let's say half a year, even if they're not that charge?
No, they actually just don't get paid. I mean, it's like the pastor support worksheet. You know, it's calculated on an annualized basis, but it'll run for the number of months that they're in that appointment.
Right.
Period. I mean, it
So
doesn't.
like if they make $30,000 or $50,000 a year, that's divided by months. And they'll get paid by that month. And then if they get moved, that ends. And from that church, and then it starts a new one for the new church. But they've been paid by the end.
And out of the almost 800 churches, what percentage do you have to change in the year? Is it well over 50%?
No, maybe 15 maybe. I'm wet thumbing, but I would say somewhere between 10 and 20.
As much as 15 per district.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that regard, the changes are minimal compared to, okay, so I was thinking that, you know, if you had 500-600 changes, that you would want to put those on, that would just blow my mind the amount of work that would be done there.
No, it's not that many. I've had as few as 4 changes. I've had, 1 year I had 28 changes.
And so, okay, so in that case, you go in and you don't do or do not change their salary amount. You have to-
No, the salary amount doesn't change.
Because because the appointment changes, but the salary is paid by the conference, not by the churches.
No, it's wrong. Opposite.
Okay, so if one church, but do you require that your churches pay so much to the pastor then?
That's what the minimum salary is.
And then, okay, so their church has to pay 30,000, this church has to pay 30,000, so it should not be a ton of salary changes, the pension stays the same. So generally, you're just changing the appointment date, and the change in charge of the appointment date, so you're going to change it.
Usually changes everything because the pastor, if they're going to a new church, normally they get a raise.
Because it's a bigger church or something.
You see, one of the things that we're losing in this, and it doesn't really make that much big of a difference, I think, to the database, but the pastor support worksheet, while there's a pastor's name on it, it's really related to the charge.
Yeah.
It's not related. It is
salary that's allocated for that charge.
For that charge.
For that
correct.
pastor.
And then it says, okay, and this, because I am the pastor here, is how I want this divvied up.
Right, so it has to happen, it's by charge.
Right.
And then the
Which is the way
and a
appointments,
breakout of churches within the charge.
which is the way appointments, pensions are set up by
Yes.
charge. And so, okay, that does change
Now,
things.
Todd,
So if I'm,
years back, then set up for us the method of setting up a new charge every year, calendar year. And so every January,
a new charge every year,
yes, they go in every.
All 800?
Starting 1/1 to 12/31. And the current appointments are put in that manner.
Not a charge, it's not a charge every year.
It's a new appointment line every
yeah,
year.
yeah, but the charge is still the same, it's not,
If-
okay.
Unless they change, yes.
Unless they change, it's still the same.
Right, yeah, but the charge is still, you enter the First Methodist Church once. And then
Correct.
you have the different appointments for who, yeah, that's what I expect, yeah.
And when we put in the, maybe already talked about this, we just put a start date, and an end date. That's how we do it now, and then we just delete that one.
It will simplify it more for you if at noon or something, I can go into V5
and show you some examples.
I'm sorry, it's related.
And we
Yeah,
also
I think
see,
I understand
it's
that part.
it's the exceptions.
The exception was what I wanted. I thought the exception was the rule as far as people changing a lot in July.
They used to make most of the changes in July. Now they make a whole bunch of changes in July. But now they make changes all year long. And that is the headache.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So we have an interim form. If they change at July, at annual conference, we don't require an interim form at that time because we then send all of the data. I send it to GCFA with all reflecting all the new changes that took place at annual conference, starting 7/1, you know, as of 7/1. During the year, if it falls the day after annual conference, all the way up to the day before, they submit an interim form showing where that pastor came from, where he's going, and who's taking their place. And then they will have to have a new PSW if, yes, on that. Now, if it's a charge change, we have a charge change form. And if the church is within the charge changed and split out, okay, this one's going to be a single point charge. This will be a 2-point charge now instead of it being 1 3-point charge. And that also requires new PSWs to see. Sometimes it stays the same, sometimes it's different. And we require of the clergy a PSW even if they get no salary, because if they get no salary, we don't know in the conference office, okay, did somebody miss this guy? Is that a missed piece of communication that we have to have?
So
And he does get a salary.
even though it's the same name of a
Put zeros, if it is. Now, they fill out the whole thing every time. And I keep them in a book right now. I mean, you know, I print them off and put them in there by district, just so we have a quick access that we can go to and say, okay, this is what we have.
So when you get this from,
the districts, they pop that to me.
But this is designed to have multiple charges for one pastor, but if the charge submits it, then this could be a pastor and one individual charge. They may have 3 of these for a pastor.
Only have 1. Pastor gets 1 salary. If he is over a 3-point charge.
Okay, but you just said
the church is listed A, B, and C, and they would have pine tree, elm tree, and maple tree churches.
So maple tree will not send in this form. The pastor sends it in. Okay, got it.
It goes under the. It's submitted as a charge. And then, but it has the breakout of what churches, because in some cases, Maple Tree UMC doesn't have the money to pay, so they don't pay anything. The other 2 carry it, and so they may get some sustentation or equitable comp in order to make up that difference.
Would be this other column,
which would be line 2.
Yep.
In line 2. Now, right now, what happens is that if I get something and it just has something on line 2, I contact the district and say, okay, what's the breakdown? Where does this come from? And I'll just write it in there so that we have it. But that's what we're doing right now.
Wow.
But we check them as they come in. And
that's a lot of moving parts.
Hey, I know you're preaching to the choir. But bottom line is there's one after the other of those of the districts that don't get them correct. So that's my point when I say we want to, although we want the breakdown and the pieces that we need to update this and have it more all in one place. But we need to watch making it so complicated.
Correct.
Because you and I both know what happens.
It's just going to be more. These two are going to be changing every one of them.
Especially if they give it to the church to do. They're gonna have to in the district office go back and recheck everyone. They're going to assume they're right unless somebody says change that. So see, this is usually here. Okay. I mean, so you have to set this up.
And since everybody has the question, you can-
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have the right to say something for this? So we can-
Oh, I have it.
It's gonna get your.
Yeah, I noticed you did a really good job with your hand a few minutes ago. That's been usually the-
I was gonna go find an eraser, but this will do.
Yeah.
I'll be back. So again, what, y'all are thinking in the right ways and talking. That's what I want to show you. Because again, V5 is in place and Sandy has everything just like it is, and everything's gonna run.
What do
like
you
it
need,
is.
Ben? Water?
So don't be stressed that, oh, this is gonna happen March first. Doesn't have to happen March first. We as the conference are in control when this goes live.
So what about entering a member, church member, an
Let me
officer?
give him the form.
Yeah,
Officers and
do you have
leaders.
the officers and leader form?
Okay.
So do you enter every church member of every church?
Not the church member, but if you're serving in a position.
If they're officer or leader.
Lay leader, treasurer.
Okay, and what,
So y'all don't
one
wanna
thing,
talk
one thing we
anymore?
brought up.
Are we done with the pastor support worksheet?
I don't know.
Well, we need to put the green, what steps we want to do.
Okay.
So
Is
going
there
back
any
to
way to load our data into the test system where we could work within and run within and then?
Yes. So once that happens, we'll be giving you probably a test site and then give you your login. Once that converts, the first run conversion is done.
We didn't want to do that this time because the database is still, it's not ready to be pulled over. We're still working on some stuff. They have a version of it, but we still have some things we have to fix. Finance has to be perfect. The database we can fix on the other side, but we have to fix, but finance has
So
to.
what did you need to know about this stuff?
I want to know what, we said what you're doing now. Now we need to
Oh,
formalize what you want the process to be.
I'm inclined to say we're wise to take it as kind of a two-step design. One is when you move your data over and you start working with it, you do it as all entered from the district office as it is now from a sheet of paper that has been validated and signed off. And then maybe in a year or so after,
It won't be that long.
well, maybe at some
In the
point,
future.
you begin to incorporate
Yeah.
another level of data entry.
But see, Arena, the part that this is in, the financials are different. The way it's set up now. If you're not gonna use, if you don't wanna use Arena yet, then it would be the, financials portion that they would work in. So see, we're talking two different things when you say that. Then we need to look at Shelby next financials.
I thought we already established that we're gonna be doing it in Arena.
Right, but we can't, we can set it up. That's what this is to get this set up.
Understand.
That's what this is for you guys. Financials is another animal that, like, I work in.
Right, you guys.
Right,
Here
I work in
we're working.
financials.
But we're not gonna worry
This
about
relates,
financials.
but this relates to
Of
financials.
course, yeah, of
So
course.
that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to get through this pastor support worksheet, because in my mind, that's the most important thing for you all off the jump. Because that's what drives Ken's information. That's what drives Sandy's information that she has to print out.
Well, the end of year drives cabinet.
Right.
Information.
Right.
Bishop.
So that's what this session was for you all to work through this.
So what do we need
I
to do
thought it was a
next?
transcript, okay.
Well,
No,
this is part of the training is how you want it done.
It is, but when it comes down to it, you'll train more.
Once you get this like it is, you will have a training session on it when it's like
Awesome. Come again and provide lunch.
There'll be more training sessions. There'll be more training sessions.
Okay.
Well, and
This
how,
was brainstorming.
well, and how we want it, I don't know how others feel, but I'm inclined after listening to all the conversations, that, again, that it be set up that we enter into arena, essentially the same stuff that we're doing now,
You
but
are.
not in separate modules, just,
Correct.
Yes.
just those key elements that we said we needed to enter,
Yes.
tie them back to the pastor's record as far as addresses and where they're appointed and all that. The pastor support worksheet is essentially everything from line 1 down. But we only enter,
Only 14.
yeah, but we only enter a little bit of that. And not by church. And then at some point in the future, we design it with the objective that another party could begin entering part of the data and go to an
The
approval
churches
level.
won't be entering stuff till down the road. That's probably a year out.
Okay, and that would be,
That is probably a year out.
and that would be the logical.
You all
other
working in
entry
arena
point.
is not a year out. We've already had this a year.
Yeah,
And
okay.
nothing's been done.
I think there's
So-
a little bit of trepidation about letting churches enter in, because look at the mistakes there are now.
But again, that's training for them
Yeah.
down the road. But the agreement when they purchased this, it was purchased with the option for the churches to be tenants and be able to log into their records. Now, the advantage of that is a church can log in, they can run their financials, see what they're tithing, what they paid, what their event specials are, what their pastor's information are. That's in their church records. But that's down the road. Headquarters, we all have to be right before we look at churches.
Right. So we want to design right now what it is that we need to enter into your pastor's
The process, right.
the process. So the process is that we get a sheet of paper, whatever time of year it may be, we get a sheet of paper and we enter the pastor's name and the charge, right? The charge has been set up.
How it is now.
And then we enter lines 1, 2, 8, 10 or 11.
But no, you
14.
need to do 1A, 1B, 1C
Right.
or whatever, but
If it applies.
But if you pick the pastor of the charge, then you pick, okay, then you fill out the information for that charge, then go to the next charge. So it's semantics, but it's the same.
It's not hard.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm understanding for me is that line 2, where it says conference salary supplement, there needs to be boxes there to check whether it's or
or you have
equitable
several.
comp supplement.
I do it by
prepared.
amounts with
I
whatever those
agree.
check.
Right,
I would
and
just
those
call it
amounts that go in
Equitable
there.
comp is line 2, line 3 is sustentation, and you put in the amount, and then line 4, that's gonna be the easiest, I think.
To do it that way?
Yeah.
Or you have a 2 ABC.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You get that on the church forms that they see, equitable comp, sustentation. That's gonna, we can't mess with the form.
Okay.
We need the page on Arena that we have
To
that
reflect that.
option. But we can't put a sustentation on there, because every church is gonna say, oh, we can get some sustentation.
Yeah.
And they're gonna start writing numbers in there.
Well, they already,
you need to
salary
tell us.
conference supplement.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, but most of the time, they don't know what that is.
don't know what it is.
They don't know what that is. They know it's in general.
You can rename it to approved salary supplement or something. So that.
I don't think we need to add anything else to that actual form, because it's confusing.
I would agree.
enough.
And they're just now learning how.
It's, last year, one year, they didn't put whatever W-2 final number on there, and people freaked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they brought it back.
So they put it back on there.
Yeah.
So don't mess with this
And a different
form.
group, by the way, freaked out because it was back on.
But we need it in our module.
The only thing we might do is.
Ministry wouldn't be half bad if it wasn't for all the people.
Churches, it's a great place for you to have Christians.
The district, the district.
District.
Uh, Yeah, I think we go as far as 15, we don't go past 15 in that thing.
Okay, so on line 2, where you all are entering and just you see it.
Yeah.
There would be equitable comp, sustentation, cooperative parish, or district amount,
District support.
yeah, district support.
Maybe.
Well, then you're also talking about,
You wanna put the new church development CD there,
Yeah.
right there?
Yeah, let's, yeah.
Okay.
well, then you've also got,
I didn't do that.
New church development or congregational development, whatever.
It's all the same thing.
Right.
you've also got, under that conference salary supplement, you've got your DS salaries, which they all come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still gotta come under that line, right? So we.
Oh, and if we could also add, and if we could add a GCFA line to put in the UMPIP in one place on this.
Well, let's wait till we get down to that section.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, we're just
I think,
at line 2
I think
right
we
here.
probably want line 3, although we don't enter it separately, it's added to line 1 if. No, I don't think we want.
Oh, you mean those are the A through?
Offer, what is offer benefits?
Well, really,
Pastor,
like-
is that this one? Is that
No.
a district supplement?
No,
it's-
Other benefits.
No,
Other benefits?
if the church pays something else to the pastor in cash to cover something and it's not counted as salary, we currently add it into that base salary, right?
Yeah, but they just added in there as base salary.
No, it shows up on line 3 and some.
Like if they pay the pastor's premium for insurance,
I did it that
right?
way. And I just added to line 1.
So actually, if you broke it out, there'd be six other things that could be added into that base salary on line 1.
That other benefits you're taking from line 3 up there, right? So that's, if the
But
church.
should that be included in 2, or that needs to be separate?
No, that's separate.
That's separate.
Because that's a church,
Okay.
additional benefit. Line 2 is a district and conference additional benefit.
But that's added to the pension cap, is what I'm saying.
So put, yeah, number 3 on there, we have those 4 items on the PSW.
As part of line 4, included in it, there are some churches, not a lot, but some churches pay for both church portion and the pastor's portion of their pension. Okay, so.
And that's put up here?
And
That's
when
not down
it's-
here?
when it's-
No, it's up there,
it's
see
up there.
line 3A.
Yes. And
Church
it's
provided
included
pastor
as
salary.
part of line 4.
Okay.
But there are some churches that do that, and they pay, since they pay both portions, that is noted on it,
Yeah.
I guess so, then they have.
and that's what that's for.
I'm sorry, then they have to move from one church to the other. Full salary packages.
Right. So that's what this information is here when you get to 4. This is their salary packet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what they're
It's
getting,
a
no
base
matter
salary.
what other benefits.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other,
And you.
besides breaking out line 2? This is where you're putting it in, for breaking out these things.
You've gotta have also on that line too, conference salary, because you've got your extension ministry.
That's
like you
different
did.
from the district?
Oh, yeah,
That's
because see,
different.
you're talking about, you've got your extension ministries like your DSs and all of that, they get paid from the conference.
Anybody that's paid from the conference, it goes on line 2.
So it's got, that's, would have to be one of the,
Those that have no local church.
correct.
Extension ministries on that one? That's not different.
No,
You all tell me, it should say conference?
it should say conference, well, just conference supplement.
Supplement, okay. So again, that's on 2,
Correct.
we're still on line 2. You could break it out in equitable comp, sustentation, cooperative parish, a district supplement, the congregational development grant, or a conference supplement.
Yeah.
That's all the things they can get money from.
The cooperative parish is part of that equitable comp form.
Correct.
So do you?
But in my world,
you
I've
need
got that on a
breakout.
different line
Okay,
item.
you
So see,
need
what I'm
breakout.
trying to do is I'm trying to get a report that all this is broke down for me, that I don't get
Yeah.
the books that you have with all that information.
But in that conference supplement section, you're gonna have your DSs. There are anybody like your Westgate Foundation, 5 of them, and 4 of them are clergy.
That would have an amount in that
They
line.
will be in that same. Anybody
Okay.
that's paid by the people that have offices that are clergy, that have offices here in the conference office, they're paid by the conference. They are included in that group. So that's who those people are.
Okay, so that's number 2. We good with number 2 breakout then?
You get to do them all.
So what about number 3? 3's good?
3's good as a total.
Yeah. 3's good as it is? So that gives us a 4 total. We good on that?
Exactly, that's their base salary.
Okay.
So we don't enter anything for 4, it's total.
So this is information right here, is a continuing ed, and this here, that would be like Terry Goodman.
Actually, all we need there is, for
the
entry
total.
is 8, is line 8.
All we need is-
All we need is the total, line 8.
Because the other,
That's all we're entering.
the other is for the church themselves.
Yeah. the other's
But where do
certified.
these total, you don't put in these totals?
No.
We only
Where
put
does,
in
where
line
is
8.
this total coming from?
It comes
It
from
comes
those
from there.
3. It comes from 5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
But we just enter the total. Because that doesn't pertain to us, that pertains to the local church, how they pay it out of their budget.
We record that on our PSWs, 5, 6, and 7, 8.
Well,
It
they're
says
on
that.
there.
It says that.
We don't
We don't enter it in the system.
We don't need it in the, we don't need it in the conference system database.
Okay, I think we do, because that's what Terry Goodman, when I'm in my conversations with Terry Goodman,
Thank you.
and his office up there, that's what I'm wondering. If there's something in these lines, it needs to be captured in Shelby for somebody.
Okay.
So, well, it isn't now, so.
It isn't now.
Right,
So,
it isn't
okay.
now, right.
So
This is moving forward.
then we need to enter 5,
And-
6, and 7,
Exactly.
and then 8 is
But they're
total.
just like, that's just like it is. though,
Either
right?
one, whatever, check with Terry, I guess, we'll just.
Yeah, so
Right.
mark
Write it
5, 6,
down.
and 7
Write
on
it
your
down, please.
whiteboard. Add, you need to add that to what we're doing now.
Number 3 is good. This is number
5, 6, and 7.
5, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
5 through 7. You're gonna input.
Yeah, we need to input that now, which we haven't done before. We've just done 8.
Which you're telling us that, so we're gonna
Yes,
believe you.
because in conversations with Terry Goodman, and Terry's new too.
I know.
Terry's new. And so he's
No, that's what
got,
scares me.
again, he's got 15 different forms up there with information that he's got to enter. That if it's on another form somewhere, we want to capture it and put it in Shelby.
That's
So
fine.
they asked for that on their continuing education. form
Which he's
that they-
gonna have, and
when
see,
they
that's a
turn
whole
in
other, right,
at charge
Right.
conference.
now,
Maybe we
Right.
won't need to turn those in at charter conference.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we know what I know. Sorry, Mary, I was trying to be eternally optimistic.
and see, what my goal is to help departments, not only you all, but to help clergy services, you know, to help people that have forms that they're getting a sheet of paper that they have to, it's not being recorded in Shelby. I'm trying to capture it, figure out a way to capture it.
Okay.
See, he'll have forms that he's filling out online, Terry will too, that will capture his information. So, right now, I just want to focus
Okay,
on
that's
you
good.
guys here.
That's good.
Okay, what about,
Need 10 and 11.
10 or 11, yeah, we put either or, depends on if they're in
Right, you
parsonage
put
or
an
if
amount
they
in
get
there.
cash housing allowance.
okay,
Now, a lot of them get neither.
Now, ideally,
They don't
10
give it a
is a
parsonage.
check mark that gets calculated for you.
right.
Because it has to be 25%.
And that's what it was on B5.
Number 10 would be a calculation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on line 4. Yep.
8,
And it
9,
all. it
Based on a
already is
check
in
mark in line
B5.
4.
okay.
Is there a parsonage? Yes.
Or
Then I'll know that. Right. Because if there isn't a parsonage.
Oh, you want to put check mark if there's a parsonage?
Yeah, well, you just check it now, don't you?
No, we don't do anything. We either fill it in or we don't.
Yeah.
Right?
No, now on B5, you check it.
Oh, I'm
and it
sorry, yeah,
goes
the
in
entry in that,
automatically.
you're correct, I'm sorry, I was confusing it with the sheet
So
itself.
that'll be just a calculation it does there. Okay.
And 10 or 11, so otherwise you enter 11. Right. You have to decide how to display
Depending,
that.
how the form's set up, depending on what's here, is depending on what goes in here.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Now,
See, number 12 is off of line 4.
right, and that's again in the calculations,
Yeah.
how,
Yeah,
how it's set
it's
up.
actually,
Four
yeah, it's
plus
actually
line.
for,
Yeah.
what was the housing?
And then all this is in here, right? You input
In
all that.
calculation,
No,
it's
no,
calculation.
it's calculated.
It's calculated from what's up here.
Unless the pastor wants to give more in line 13.
Line 13 is a possible override.
Like if it calculates $120, but the pastor wants to give $300,
You just manually go.
We
in.
just
And then you
manually put
change
in
it,
300.
and then you
bucks,
divide it by 12 for the 14.
And right now, you manually wipe it out if they're not on the pension fund.
Yeah, but that would be the piece to get straight. That would be great.
Should be checked
off
yeah. And see, that's where line 4,
On which line? Their pension.
line 14 is where right now we have to go back into global file and put that on the GCFA thing. So that'll be good if it's all together.
Line 12 is what they're talking about.
Just 12.
12 and everything down below it.
12 would be a,
12 through 14.
so line 12 would be
The calculation.
a calculation.
Yes.
Correct.
Number 10 is a calculation, number 12 is.
What would be ideal for 12 though, if you were gonna do it as a calculation in Arena or whatever the backbone is there, is that if you check pension plan and then it calculates. If you don't
Yeah.
check pension plan.
Yeah.
It doesn't calculate.
Yeah.
And that would be
great.
on line
Yeah.
12.
I've always
Yeah.
thought it'd be good to know the exact percentage too. And then if you could do that, if you know that it's got
Calculation
4% or
is
5%, and then you put that number in.
Calculation, it'll calculate it if you don't check the box.
Calculated if you do check the box.
If you do check the
Right,
box.
but some take out more than the minimal.
Well, yeah, but now you're down to line 13.
We're down to
We're
line
still talking about
13 for
12.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
It's okay, I'm just,
if there's
Yeah.
a calculation like in 12, if it's automatically calculated, can they have the option to manually go in and override that?
You will make it so.
He's the man, he can do it.
So line 13 is what we put. What do we put in the GCFA tab for?
14.
Thank you.
14.
So that would be great if that crossed over. So we didn't have to go somewhere else to add that like we do now,
Actually.
which you probably will.
Yeah, 14 is calculated.
12 payments of 13.
Yeah.
Which is how it should be.
Yeah,
right?
it's, yeah,
And
it's,
that's
it's calculated.
14?
Yeah, 14 is
There you go.
calculated already.
Well, why
Off
would,
of 13.
why would we not enter 13 and then let it go fill in 14 where it needs to fill in 14?
It would depend on what you put in above it, whether it's
No.
calculated or not.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm talking about it, where she's putting where it enters. Line 13 is what we enter, the annual
Yeah, if
amount.
we have to change it, right?
Yeah, 13 is we enter
13,
and
we
then
may
14
have
is
to-
13 is
automatic.
calculated, but you can manually change
Yes, we need both.
Correct.
Both options there.
And then 14, we shouldn't have to enter any place. It should map Angela.
Yeah. We only have 2 more processes to go. End of year and
14 will be a
And then
calculation
14
if there's
is
something else.
13 divided by 12.
That should map, Angela. We shouldn't have to enter that.
Right.
yeah, it should automatically calculate.
And then what's that calculation again? Calculated which?
It's 13 divided by 12.
Which sounds like it makes a lot of sense.
Line 13.
That's what the
But you
14
gotta
total.
choose 1 point something.
Yeah, 1.15.
Okay. And then, what about all this?
That has nothing to do with us, that's the church.
They put in all that down there. right?
We put in 15 if there's a housing allowance resolution that's been approved.
We don't put it in.
We don't put it in existence.
Now, your housing allowance is separate, it's not up here somewhere?
We would need to.
No, the housing allowance resolution is a completely different form.
Right, but it's not up here in any of these
No.
calculations?
No.
Okay, so that needs to be put in then.
Well,
It's
I
put
mean,
in
that
by
needs to populate a field,
who puts it in then?
the church.
the church, yeah. Or
Oh, we
somebody
do.
puts it in.
Shelby?
No, we don't.
It
put
isn't
that
in
We
Shelby.
don't worry about it in
We don't-
Shelby.
We
put
don't,
that in
we
Shelby.
haven't been, but we are,
Why?
because that's another, again, that's, for me, in calculations we do in finance,
You do
I need to know
something
what that housing allowance is.
you need, well, it's not a housing allowance, it's
This is,
It's what they're able to count off on their W-2 for
That has
taxes.
nothing to do with their salary or.
Nothing at all,
No.
correct. It only has to do with the IRS.
Is the housing allowance captured anywhere
Yeah.
on this
Line
line?
11.
Line 11.
Housing
That's line
allowance.
11, okay.
Yeah, that's the cash housing.
And again, I
allowance.
don't think this is housing allowance.
The resolution means what they can count off on the,
It is.
what they can prove to the IRS that they paid for housing.
For them personally.
Yeah.
We don't do it.
Correct.
Okay, so.
Now, do we need to, I know we don't now, but is it going to be necessary for us to enter something on the health premiums? Because that is something that I know
No.
my guys
No.
calculate wrong.
No, that'll be Julian here. Because he does his calculations off of this. Julian.
You know,
Julian shadowing
you know the
Ken,
guy,
because she's gonna-
Julian.
Julian
It's a new person, Julian Kent.
It's like but see, what this is gonna do with this information that you put in here, that's gonna go over to where they should be able to pull that report and see that. And again, I'm trying to eliminate the 150 pieces of paper that people have to have. You can still have all the paper, but I want you to be able to get it out of the arena and get that report, then you can look for all the paper.
So we don't care about their health premiums, that's fine. I just want to be sure that we don't care about.
Am I right on that, Julie? Am I right on that? Sorry, because they don't enter, you all calculate all that from what comes off of here.
That bottom part is what the churches call us all the time.
This part down here. Gotcha.
Right, so we don't worry about it.
We don't.
Because Ken's a CPA.
But we don't need to enter it in any place.
You all don't do that anywhere. Okay. Okay. Now,
Well, but the insurance is direct bill, that's why I'm asking, right? The only, it currently doesn't, I'm just asking whether it's something that needs to be.
The only reason I would think that would need to be captured is if we ever got to the point where a church could run their W-2s.
No.
All right.
because I think by tax law, they have to run their W-2s, their own EIN number.
Well, okay, so I know she brought up the tenant part earlier, but if a church is using a tenant, they have access to payroll. And yes, they could run their own payroll and run their own W-2s.
Because of the
Because-
salary information that's in there.
Because, exactly. They have Arena and the financials to use for their own church administration. So,
If we-
yes, they could run their own W-2s, their own 1099s and everything, through
At
that.
some point. It could
Correct.
happen.
But at that point, they'll be entering that.
Yes,
But that still wouldn't be anything that they
correct.
put in.
So that's.
But that's what would generate stuff on your side.
Do you have a way now when you put in, extra insurance and things, maybe and I were just talking about this, is there a way for us to see which plan they're carrying? Or sometimes we get questions about that.
And I think we're gonna,
It is in the insurance.
and we're gonna talk about that.
We don't have access to
when
that.
we get to that, because that's information that maybe they should be able to see somehow.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know if that is.
You can make it view only. It's view only. Yeah, you can just say you want to view it.
To where they can see. You all-
Yeah, we need to see it.
In the future and not be able to edit it.
Yeah.
That would be great. if we could do that.
Right. Depending on how many users you've paid for. If they're doing that, they would count against your user count in the
Right.
financials. So.
And again, you know, there's, like you said, that would count against, there's billing and there's money, there's still, it's not free. So that, we haven't got to that point yet. But if staff, internal staff.
Yeah.
Could see that information, that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
And this is internal staff, so, you know, it would be good if they could see that. it'd be good if we could just have some kind of tablet and see it already. And then you would be able to run a report on who's on the S network, who's on the.
And
Budget and flag.
even if you tell them to go to the Blue Cross Blue Shield, you say, go to Blue Cross Blue Shield, make an account, and sign in. It's still, when you get in there, it's unclear.
That's right.
I didn't
Didn't get his.
Ian, this is for lunch. Okay, so is this is our wish list for pastor support worksheet, right?
Yep.
Put it in on number 2, the line is, can you slide in? So on line 2, we're gonna break it out for you all to put in, not what the church is, this is just for you all. We're gonna break out the equitable comp, the sustentation, cooperative parish, district supplement, congregational development, and a conference supplement, right? Number 3 is good. Number 5 through 7, they're gonna input like it is. Number 10 is the calculation.
But we don't input it now, so that's why we made it help.
Right, right. 12, it's a calculation if you do check the box. Is that the parsonage?
Yes.
No,
No, you actually missed line 11 there.
What's 11?
Cash house.
We did miss 11.
It's a 10 or 11.
10 or 11. Yeah,
10 or 11?
Yeah.
But 11 is a calculation.
Okay, but it's like it is, you just. put it
Yeah,
in.
11 is not a calculation, it's just what are
Okay.
they gonna
So
pay?
if you're,
Do we want a checkbox there?
We do, we want to check
What is
whether there's a
checkbox
part
for
now I've got a checkbox on 12 down here.
That's pension, so.
That's
I
different.
thought we were talking about check market through the parsonage.
We were.
Angela,
No need to add that.
on 10 and 11, right now, it would be good if we had some boxes in there or some fields in there on the district input side. Because how they read is if it's 10, it's the calculation of, and they have a parsonage off of the base salary of line 4.
Okay.
If they do not live in a parsonage and they get a cash housing allowance, that's cash, it's line 11, and you put the amount in. If neither one is checked, that means they are living in their own home and they get no cash housing. So that's the way that reads. But that would be good to have some fields there on the district input side to clarify that.
Okay.
Where does this go now, Angela?
Back to me. Has everybody got their lunch in? I think Jamie's eating it.
Yeah.
So on line 10, on line 10, you need a checkbox.
Well, before 10 and 11.
Well, yeah, before 10 and 11, you need a checkbox whether they have a parsonage.
Before 10 and 11?
Whether they, yeah, before 10 and 11, you need a checkbox.
Do we have that on there now?
No.
No.
And
Okay.
two check boxes, one for 10 and one for 11. You're
Okay.
gonna,
Then
and
that
it's a
works.
toggle switch, you're gonna not be able to do both. It'll be either or.
Okay. Yeah. That work?
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to check, then they have it on top.
Exactly.
That's
Need to
four.
check them down.
On 10, there'd be a calculation.
Right.
And on
And
10,
then
on 10, there'd be that calculation in there.
20.
10
be a
calculation?
Yeah.
That's calculation.
45% of
Line 4.
On 10. And 11 is just check the box. Wait a
If
minute.
there's something, if there's.
No, 11 you have to fill them out.
To back up, that totals in 4.
That's included in their base salary of line 4.
Right. Does that count on the 25%? Because I know down.
They use
Down
line
here.
4, and yes.
Yes,
It's
I know
line-
now when we're putting it in, Shelby, it wants to recalculate. Does something weird.
No,
No, it doesn't.
I just showed,
For what?
Betty, you've got a supplemental line 2, and then you go down and figure the 25% for parsonage.
if you click on parsonage,
It doesn't, it tells you that it's wrong, but you like to override it.
and you say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You say that.
Yes, you just say yes, and it'll give you the correct figure. What it does is it goes in and recalculates.
Okay, I was just making sure it was doing it correctly.
Yes, it is. What it's saying is that when you first click on that, it's gonna take it off the one that is south.
have a line.
And when you, and.
What the church actually pays.
You gotta have one.
Well, yeah.
It has to
Okay.
be calculated.
All right, we'll just.
She was just over there, she's just doing things that are changes.
It's
Yeah.
asking
Okay.
you, do you want?
So a church is not gonna pay the salaries of the pastor.
Right, I know, right?
Well,
That's
are
why we
you
can
ready
do
for
it.
us? You gotta go over that.
We can, let's do it on.
You're in
Yeah,
court.
whatever.
Right.
I had somebody call me. I'll call back to you and say,
But that's.
okay, Pat,
And we'll go
some
over
money this
that.
year. Did you get salary? And you look out. I said, well, then you gotta have the income. Give me your income.
Oh, man. Well, that would be the good thing about, the tenant is that now you know, because now that's not in your data.
Is it a line for,
So
that's
that
just a
report
total?
Yeah.
can be done concurrently. No, this, it will be in this, so when they have a tenant, they're processing contributions. And your data, so you don't know what the income is. But again, that'll assume that all 800 of your churches are doing.
That's what I'm saying, what if they
Yeah.
don't?
So then, guess what?
And those
Do
are the
form,
few
and then
ones,
forget it.
okay.
Yeah.
9,
Nothing changes at that point.
9 is 4 plus 8.
Line 4 plus line 8.
Yeah, 4 plus 8, it's not 9. 4 plus 8 is 11.
This is toilet paper math.
Right.
And do
Cash housing.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, we gotta make sure.
So kind of lay it out that way. Okay.
We don't teach it.
Yeah.
That'll work. And we can ascertain that on the form.
Okay. Okay, so we're up to 14.
Well,
Is that
let's go back to 10 and 11.
10, 11,
All right, so 10.
which is what she's talking about.
10, 11, if you do the check box, it automatically puts in the amount. 11, if you do the check box, you fill in the amount.
It's filling, let it fill.
And then there's a third one that says no, well, and it fills in zero.
Or if
So,
you just
that's-
don't check mark the 2 boxes. then it'll
Well,
be-
it's like that mark, then you have to only be calculated.
Before it is a radio button. Say it must be filled in, housing must be filled in.
That you have to choose
Well,
one.
yeah, I don't disagree with you. If it's, do they have a parsonage, do they have housing? If they're not, then the system fills in 0 automatically.
Yeah.
You can't override it at that point. So that might be a better way to do it.
The less clicks.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, but I know what you're saying.
Is that it?
That was good.
When you
So
get to
that- that's
14,
your one process.
And see, and what we'll do is Shelby will set this up, and then hopefully we can play with it. We will be able to
Yeah,
test it to see
yeah,
how it
it
works.
will actually be, if it's set up properly, you'll be able to set it up.
Oh, okay.
And that's what the goal will be, because like I was talking, a break, not every Methodist conference does it the exact same way. And so we need you to be able to set it the way you do it, and then West Virginia sets it the way they need to do it, and Texas needs to do it there. So the goal is for you to have the ability to set it up the way you need to run. Now, let me say, as a disclaimer, is that I'm gonna take all this stuff back. And then someone said I was amazing over there. I have no control over what they decide, okay? Or when if they say yes to everything, that will be done. My purpose is to listen and interpret and present and then back off. Because you don't want me writing any lines of code. That would be a bad thing. As well as you don't want the developers coming in here and training you. God gives us different gifts, right? And I'm very, very strong in the spiritual giftedness. And when I'm in my giftedness where I'm not gifted, I back off and let those people who are gifted do their job. So
See,
again,
that's why we're talking to you all. I don't do this sheet. I don't. It confuses me just looking at it blank. I can't imagine having to fill it out. So, I'm trying to make it easier for you
So
guys.
is there anything else we're gonna be doing today with this?
We're done with the pastor support
Okay,
worksheet.
at this point, once it comes in, for stage one, you're still entering this information into the system, and then it is putting the information where it needs to be. Stage two, if there is stage two, is where the churches enter this, you review it, approve it, and then it goes in. So
One of these days.
somewhere down the line. So next step would be to submit to conference for approval.
Right now, who approves this? Once you all put it in, then that's it, the approval level. You all want to look over it first, then it goes to the DS, then it goes to Lori.
Well,
No,
it comes to us from the DS.
It comes to us from the DS.
Yeah.
They've already approved it
They've
at charge
approved paper.
conference.
So the district superintendent's already signed it at this,
Yeah.
when you get it?
When we get it, everybody's already
So
signed
once
it.
you all check it off, then it
In
goes to
theory.
Lori.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Well, we sent it to
You know,
Sandy,
if it goes to Sandy.
who then I think gets it to
Who
Lori.
gets it
and
right.
Lori.
Let's just
Lodge
pretend.
and
Let's pretend. That's the approval process.
Once it
If
leaves
you
us,
all,
it
it goes
goes
to
to
Lori for
conference.
approval, right?
We don't know where it goes after we're done.
Okay.
How's
You
that?
sent it to
Ask somebody else.
Don't you send it to Sandy?
Yes, but
Yeah, but it goes to the conference, it goes to
Yeah.
the conference office.
yes.
It goes to the conference office. But the pastor signs, the PPR chair, the treasurer, and the superintendent.
The only time it would require an approval would by Lori is if you have
Sandy.
equitable compensation or cooperative parish.
Well, I think Lori said the bishop looks over it, but she's looked at it already.
I know.
Yeah. But we're talking about just approval levels in this system.
And I doubt that Lori or the bishop wants to sit there and approve that many.
No, the only ones they approve are substantation, equitable compensation.
Okay, so once you all check off on this pastor support worksheet, it's done.
At the district level.
It's done until we change it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's done until somebody calls and says, we need to change this.
Okay, and then that's what we need to, and then we'll get into that discussion later on when we get further along about when you can make changes. That's a deeper conversation.
Hopefully we can always make changes.
Okay, Sandy?
Yeah.
One thing that would be good to put on there is, even if it's a checkbox, just put that it's a revised.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a date.
Date revised.
Yeah.
Date revised, that's good.
Oh,
Yeah, and the checkbox and the date.
yeah, good. Like the date on the top release.
That would even be.
Yeah, well, that would mean, you may be filling it out, but it doesn't actually take place until September,
Do it as
so.
a decided.
Now,
You could fill that.
if it's revised, is it possible to send a flag or a notice to somebody at the conference office that it's
Well, yeah,
being
that's
revised?
possible.
Okay.
Well, don't we separate
Now, the other question is then, if you then come down to some of these things that are calculated by 12, do you then have to put in a place where it's calculated by 3 instead of 12? Because all the three-
No, it's always.
It's always 12 months.
It's always filled in.
All PSWs and our sustentation, equitable comp, all the headquarters support, forms, they're all calculated on the basis of an annual basis.
Okay.
And then if that pastor's only there for 1 month, then he gets 1/12 of it. If he's there for 6 months, gets, half of it. But that way, it keeps it consistent.
Sure.
Everybody knows what they're reading. And because if you get them where one person, okay, he's part-time, he's only gonna be there till June, and you figure the PSW on a 6-month basis,
Yeah,
then payroll are the Angela's portion, where they're gonna be sending out a check, they don't know whether to
Right.
1/12 it or
yeah, that makes
1/6.
sense.
Right,
You know.
right.
That makes sense.
Okay, so is that, are you all comfortable with this on the first time?
Yes.
Until we see it flies and see what they say. Okay, let's move on to
Year-end-
charge
Year-end
conference.
reports.
I could make you a clean copy of that, that's not very.
Well, I'll take a picture of it, you make a copy.
I'll write it out, yeah. Let's move on to charge conference forms for a second. Lori gave me a charge conference packet. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff.
And that's just one packet.
But again, we're thinking about what goes in Shelby. Right, what information we're capturing. Now, there is off of the conference instructions that's got all your forms on it here. If I'm reading this correctly, then number 3, which is your officers, leaders, employed staff, that goes in Shelby. Correct? Number 4, pastor support worksheet. Number 11, trustees report.
That goes to Val.
We just, okay, but that is information that could be input.
Into Shelby, yes.
Yeah, Valerie would love to do that.
That's your policy. That's your insurance information.
Yeah, well, I get the trustees report and then I get the insurance information on my end. So I've got to have all those.
But that's coming in here on these pages.
Correct.
Right, they send it to me.
Okay, so it is possible, and that's why I've got this marked, because again, that's information that could be input one time. You run a report, you got it. You don't have to get 15 papers to do it, in theory, right?
Right.
Well, she has to have all the proof of it.
Yeah, they know to mail that to her anyway, but again, this is capturing the information without she had to hire a temp to put all this stuff in. There was so much information that had to be put in, so now it's in there now.
Yeah.
So she's just updating it. She's just
That was the
updating.
worst part.
But out of all this, I have 19 things on this charge conference instruction. I only have those 3 things marked. that really said would be captured.
No, there's the students.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's
Students, yeah.
lay service. Sheet 9, I want to say.
The college student inventory?
Yes.
High school.
We don't put our lay
Yes,
service.
whether
Yeah,
it's
it's not.
it's not tracked, but it could, should.
There's, well, there's.
We don't enter the lay service yet.
But it could and should be.
But it should be,
Yes.
but it should be, because there's other people having to scramble
Right.
to put that information together, and you might need a report to know who your lay leaders are.
But you can't.
Right. Well,
Yeah, I
again,
mean, you know, there's gotta be a limit.
But what do you do? Don't you have to put that in somewhere anyway? Give
No,
a report?
no,
Okay, that's why I don't have it marked.
no.
That's
We
why I
just,
don't have it marked.
I give,
But there
And
should
that's what
be.
you all have to-
when my
There
district
should be a
lay leader
place
asks
that
for
is a
those reports,
database for
I
that
hand them her.
information.
There should be.
There currently, in V5, there is a screen for lay service. It's not been
It's
utilized,
not been utilized, but it's there.
but it's there.
So if you don't put it in Shelby, how do you keep up with that? You got it in Excel?
Yeah, we have a lay service coordinator.
Who does that?
That should be able to have access to that.
Yeah.
No,
For keeping up with the classes that these people have gone and attended.
Now, is this possible?
that's
Is
what I
this
was
possible? The person that's doing this could do it in a format that I could import, as long as the fields match.
You have access to it.
Right now, it's under.
Well, it wouldn't that they would need access to this. They could do it in an Excel sheet, and I could pull it in and capture it. If the fields match, the fields. would have
As
to
long as the
match.
fields match, yeah.
Right.
And they're all probably different from district to district, because it's just the coordinators,
And see, that's where probably we'd all have to get on the same page about what information you're collecting, and it has to be in this format. And we could import it, y'all could run a report. So just something to think about. That's something to think about.
That's a future thing that
Right.
needs
That needs to be in Shelby. We've got all this information that you all are keeping outside of Shelby. This is the database. Everything should be in this database. Everything should be in this database. You shouldn't have to go to an Excel file to get something that's in Shelby, that should be in Shelby. And in theory, you can import it to Fields Match
Well,
into some modules.
as a conversion, yes, but not on regular
Not on a
basis.
regular basis.
So you'd want to give them access to their serving tag or their group, and then they could update the information themselves.
Give them a login or they just see that.
Correct.
Okay. What about that? What if your lady teacher had access? Where they could do that?
One more little thing.
Well, what if your lady teacher had access where they could give it?
But they're not gonna do that.
I mean, I think if it's available, then that's. If we make it say make it available. No, I don't say make it, but again, I think it captures the
But
information.
if we don't make this happen, or they don't do it, that means that we're gonna have to do it.
I don't know what that information is used for.
Cause I don't have time for it.
Right, and, you know, that's why I only had these few things checked, that was all, I really went into the database.
Angela, ours is used in the district office to see where people are, and especially if they're gonna be called to serve as a layperson into
So if we
a
made it
church.
available, if we made it available to you all, you can use it if you wanted to.
If
Just like you
yes,
have now.
exactly. Yes, please.
And again, I think there is a tab for, we have a lot of tabs in V5 that nobody's ever put in.
There is a tab for it.
Yeah.
There is.
And again, if you don't put it in
That
there,
tab
you can't get it out.
It's not, it could be modified at this point. I mean, there are things that are a
Yes.
little out of, clunky to use and out of date, but.
Right.
But
It
there is a
but
tab.
it's very cumbersome in V5 to do those tabs. Like the boxes, it's very cumbersome.
But that is something that needs to be attached to a person.
Now, the
that-
positions
some of that
required by the book of discipline, is that it?
Yes. That's the BB.
That's the biggie here.
That's the officers and the.
Okay, that you all do put in.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You all do put these in.
Must put all
Well,
the pages, yes.
Yes, and, but remember, we did set up that some of the churches put them into Holston.org. That doesn't translate into Shelby. We still put it in, but some of the churches are entering their own into Holston.org.
Okay,
don't
and
know
that's
why.
that information being.
It doesn't
No, it
translate.
doesn't
It's
translate. It just
on
gives you
the
something that
minutes.
you can read instead of having
Information.
Oh, yeah, you can put it in a form and it could populate.
If it was in a form, that's
Yeah.
all it was. And I think that's what we have to work towards.
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
it gives us a nice,
nice print on
legible
front
instead of
report.
handwritten.
But they think that because they're putting it into the website, that we don't have to do anything with it.
Right.
We still-
But like Ben said, Donna's already had that conversation with him that the information that's being captured on the website that people are putting in is not coming over in Shelby.
I know, and that's sad.
So if we made one of these forms that they were doing
If
it
they
on
could
those
do it
forms,
there, that's.
right, and then it
Oh,
could,
yeah.
Right.
then it could.
Yes, that would be great.
Import over to.
Right, so
It
they
doesn't
would
actually
still be
import,
going to
they
the
put it in.
website, they'd still be doing
That's right.
the forms.
Well, they
Yeah.
need to
Just
not
that
be
it would-
doing it on the website, if it's not gonna transfer.
But it'll have a seamless link. where they
Right,
pick up-
right.
So they go to
Right.
Holston.org, and then there's a link.
They don't know, they
Yes.
don't know that, they don't know, they're still
Yeah.
filling it out in the
Right.
same place. They might be
They just know
filling, it
they're
might look
in it.
different when they go in and fill it out, but it would be something that we could pull into Shelby, that would work?
Mhm.
Because they're capturing all this information on the website that it's not going into Shelby. And
Exactly.
again, I'm trying to get everything into the database so you guys can see it.
That would be a perfect example.
So you think they would work with that if we just made it look different?
I think about 10% of them would work with it.
Yeah.
That's about what I have right now that will input it. And they like to input it, the ones that do it, like to input it. Well, like
Because
to
it doesn't
have
go
it,
anywhere.
likes to have it there because
We're
they're
trying to
next
get
year
away
they
from
don't have to.
Yeah, well, some of our larger churches.
You can actually
do that,
leave
but the smaller
Yeah,
churches.
Well, it has to be
They
done a
print it,
certain
make
way.
copy of
Well,
last
fields
year's.
have to
That's why I
be
say
done.
10%.
See, it's different, it's different than just like importing files. So that information on the Holston.org website, if we set that up as a form where it could go into Shelby, that would be good? Okay.
As long as they put in the right information.
People in emails that were wrong on Holston.org.
I think she did some kind of notice.
But they entered the wrong one, and we had the right one in Shelby.
Okay.
To officers and leaders?
The email addresses.
I've been dealing with
The
that
ones
this
that are
year,
putting them on
that I make
themselves.
corrections, and then you'll get a new officers and leaders list, and you'll go through and add a new
And
email.
and that's a conversation,
They never fix
Right,
it.
because they don't take
with Donna about how all that.
And so you'll go, "Well, I fixed that
So end of year, that's.
Okay,
I will skip back.
Somebody gave me the wrong one
It's
again."
not my.
We need to go over. Angela, we need to go over your reports also. Offers, staff and your reports.
Yeah, do you have the excuse?
So, but how do we,
What?
is it conceivable, do we know yet how we're going to enter the 113? Whether they enter them or not, do we know that? Is that laid out?
Do what?
We'll enter it on appointments.
Yeah,
Right.
That's what I want to know, is do we,
Yeah, add a member.
Well, I
If-
mean, that's why I say, if I go in.
Yeah, the old process you can still do in the new system.
where is that? I just clarify for me.
Where is it?
Clarify for me where it is.
It's in the financials, in the area, you want, and not in the arena, you'll be doing
When
it.
we're in arena and we have a number to put in or a
Right.
member to update with what they are, with what their office is, where is that done? Can you show me?
It's not existing yet, because in your, well, okay, they're all, there's two, okay, I'm not gonna show you anything, because that decision's not been made yet.
Right.
Is it gonna be in appointments, or is there gonna be a better way to be done because the way the forms are set up?
Okay, fair enough.
So
it's not
I'm not-
known,
I don't
so we
want
can't
the-
be-
Okay.
Right now, it would be in appointments, but I would think they'd be better if it would be not be in appointments.
Yes.
I will buy that. I won't pay
Because
money,
Because that's,
but I'll buy it.
after I've listened to you guys, it sounded like it'd be better not to be there.
So maybe
And again,
volunteers
that's the
tracking?
It could be volunteer tracking, it could be a person attribute section, like a custom field section, so.
Officers and leaders.
I mean, I agree. They should change that.
Yeah, officers, yeah, that would be great, officers and leaders section.
Instead of calling it volunteers,
That would make
change it
sense
to
to us.
leaders.
Right.
Okay, I've got to go put this order in so we can get lunch. But the statistical reports,
Yeah, that's the last big.
you know, the statistical reports are all downloaded from the GCFA side. We do not modify those anymore, correct? We just do the reports. We do them like we get them off GCFA.
From after what we put in.
No, we still, there's certain categories that get filled in from the conference and they should be starred every year so that the church treasurers don't freak out and think they gotta have.
Well,
these
but what I'm
separate
saying is
figures, so we
all those statistical reports can be filled out online too. And those fields mapped. Those can be filled out online and mapped too.
But most of them don't do it.
Right, and then what are you all doing with it when you get it?
We have to put it in, we have to enter it in under, stats
Check it.
Right,
right now, under,
and
so that's, we need to know where we have to enter that.
We
with the new system.
enter the
Arena.
stats module, we also validate to a sensibility rule.
That's right.
Like, come on, you operated and you didn't have any operating
Right.
expenses,
Yeah.
you know, where is that?
and again, a lot of that, and I
You
know
had no
y'all do
income?
with it, you know, with your churches on those statistics, but again, and that's gonna have to be communication with your churches and stress that there are deadlines, this information we have to, and I know, I keep saying that, and I know, preach to the choir with you all. But with this new system, again, same thing, with deadlines and reports, it's still gonna be the same, you know. But what I'm trying to
It's a
do
human
is
factor.
capture that information, so when you all are inputting it, that it goes to a report that can be easily pulled.
And
We know
the
where
thing
we're
that I was
looking at those.
explaining a few minutes ago, if these churches are becoming tenant, then that information's already in the database.
Right.
You can pull a report and get that information without them having to enter anything. Because their financial information's there, their income is there, their attendance is there. You know, so that kind of stuff, or at least most of it, will be pulled, can be pulled by the conference from their own database, because it is one big database at that point.
Will that replace vital signs? Do you all do vital signs?
Some churches do vital signs. I would hope you wouldn't ask them to input 2 places.
We have another program.
Okay, where-
Transact.com, it's vital signs for churches, and they put in attendance and
Hmm.
offering take up and things like that.
Well, if they're using the, as a tenant and they're using it for the operating system, yes, they could do that. It could replace that for those that use it as a tenant. Now, again, it's not going to stop the ones that don't, but yes, you can still have them when they put that information in on a form, and it still populates the system, so.
Okay, so I was treasurer for my church for 10 years, and I'm still helping the new treasurer, so now if we become a tenant, we use the county program that's in there. And every time we write a check, and every time we pay bills, and every time we do anything, it goes in there. And at the end of the year, when it comes time for our statistical reports, we press the button for the reports, and everything's in there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a win-win for the churches.
Correct.
And it's not gonna happen to everybody. People are not everybody's gonna wanna do that, but I mean, our church is one that, you know, is waiting.
That would be, that's the design and the way that would
The
work.
churches that don't enter it in.
Then you still have to have would have a forum website where they go in and put that information in, basically like you do now.
I was gonna say, I've been watching, and the screen hasn't changed since I've left, so are you still doing training or not? Should I shut it down?
Well, okay, this screen has gone up and down, so you didn't, it's
I think
moved.
we're training the trainer.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, though, does this need to be recorded?
No.
Or is it just feeding you information?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm
We're doing a free design consultation with the trainer.
Okay,
Somebody just
since you do
send
not
me an
know,
email from your
since you don't
computer
know right
and
now
say,
where the officers and
We
leaders
just-
are gonna be inputted, do you know where the stats are gonna be entered into?
It's going to be a form that will be set up and by either someone online by you or someone you're in. So it'll be a form the church logs into the website. The form is there. They fill it out, submit it, and that's it. And it's in the system for reporting.
So we just finished year-end, most of it, and, when I did Finch Mountains, almost all the calculations were wrong. Some point in the year-end, so that's just something that we have in mind, I guess. So if we don't put it in, we'll still have to try and review it.
So isn't that hard, that just putting it in?
Well,
In my book it is, because then you gotta look at
Because
every
this is-
single line.
that's- yeah, because this is the process. They get sent the year report with 6 pages of instruction, and sometimes a really cool brochure about conference finance, the annual report, and that goes to the districts, and then we disperse those paper forms out, just like the charge columns to forms. I wish it was all online, but then they bring them back when we tell them, bring them back by this day, and sometimes it's a week or